YouTube, what's going on, man? It's Father Dark, and I'm recording this bright and early for you all. This is a video that we've done before, kind of similar in regards to people really like these long form videos that I do, like the really long form videos where I just take a couple people from the server and I just talk to them about different things and stuff like that, or really pretty much just allow them to talk. We just kind of have organic conversations and stuff. But this is a really long video, and I know a lot of you really love to have these, put them on in the background while you're working, driving, whatever it is that you got going on. Like I said, you're more than welcome to actually watch it, but I recommend just putting it on when you're doing something and you just really want to hear a good conversation in the background. I chose this time to interview two young ladies from the server that we have that I feel like have really good takes and insight on just gaming and life and just a lot of different things in general and stuff like that. And this video had kind of started out with more being a what women deal with in gaming and stuff. But when you talk for over an hour about stuff, you tend to just kind of cover a vast majority of different topics and stuff. So no matter what it is that you're into, whether it's EOMM, ranked, how to handle particular situations, people's favorite characters and comps, and just anything you can think of that pretty much has to do with life or gaming or whatever, we pretty much covered it at some point in time throughout this video. So I definitely recommend, no matter what it is that you're interested in, giving this video a listen. But while we're talking about that, let me go ahead and give the sponsorship for this video, which is going to be thanks to U4GM for their sponsorship. They're a pro web provider for Marvel Rivals bundles with cheap prices and fast delivery. They have more than 11K good comments. This website is really worth a try. Make sure to use my discount code DARK for an extra 6% off. Now, something I want to talk about with the sponsorship that I haven't done before. I just want to take a moment and be honest with you guys. Now, the reason that I'm bringing this up, which I'm going to play in just a second, is because once I was talking to the first young lady in the interview, when I went to go ask her if she wanted to plug anything, which I usually do for anyone that talks in any of our videos, she actually brought it up herself and talked about her experience that she had because she didn't have any social media or anything like that to plug, but she was talking about the sponsorship in the video. And like I said, you can listen to the whole entire thing. That the conversation is not edited except for like a couple little parts where people might have said something that could get me demonetized or something like that. So I did cut that out, but you can tell from the conversation that it's very organic. At no point in time did I ask her to say anything about this. She just wanted to tell her experience and the fact that she was able to get the skins that she wanted for a discounted price or whatever. And I have seen a lot of people come in the comments or in Discord and they kind of say, hey, I haven't heard of this site. Anybody trust it or whatever the case is. And a few of those people in our server have actually went and gotten their skins and stuff like that along with this young lady. But I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip really quick and let you guys hear it for yourself. Just to kind of let you know if you had any thoughts or you're unsure of it or whatever the case is. But Giselle, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up here in a minute. Is there anything else that you want to add or anything like that? Is there anything you want to plug or anything? Any social media content, anything like that?
Well, the only thing I wanted to say was shout out to your sponsor
Oh yeah.
that you were promoting, because I wasn't gonna get like the Emma skin. I was just like, I didn't like her hair. I like the outfit. I didn't like the hair in that black outfit. And then when you promoted the your sponsor, I was like, let me check it out. And it was so cheap. So I got the Emma one and I got the Ultron one from, I forget what the website's called, but I got both of those. I think it was maybe like,
U4GM you talking about?
yeah, 4GM. And I think I spent like 16, 15, $16, and they would have been like maybe like 30
Oh
if
wow.
I would have bought it in game. So
Well, my
yeah,
sponsor will
shout out to them.
definitely love that because there's a lot of people every day that come in the Discord. They're like, "Does anybody know if this site works?" And I have had a few people that have done it, but I still get those people that are like, "Oh, I don't know. It's not the official site, and I don't trust them." So I think the sponsors will definitely like hearing that. That somebody put it in a video and actually said they had a great experience with them. But besides that, do you have any? Okay, so we can hear from her that she's had a great experience. And like I said, I don't get like any type. I know a lot of people get confused. They think that like I get some type of commission from this. I don't get a commission from this. The company simply contacted me. They actually paid me up front. And outside of that, I get no extra anything. So there's no reason for me to do anything outside of what they just told me to do, which is read the introduction and pin a link to their site and all that kind of stuff. I just did think that it was interesting though, because I know there are a lot of people that genuinely are curious, and I do think that they should know from other people themselves, especially my subscribers, people in my Discord server. Which, if you haven't joined the Discord server, go ahead and click on the link in my bio. It says it's next to my profile picture. It says more info. Just go ahead and click on that and join the server. I'm in there all the time. We hold tournaments. We do like giveaways in the server. I have to say they're not connected to YouTube. YouTube is not affiliated with those. Those are just things that I do for people sometimes whenever we have big events or anything like that. And pretty soon we're going to be having, I think it's Friday. Today's Thursday, so it'll be tomorrow. We're going to be having our console versus PC tournament, so you'll be able to see that in real time if you'd like, and if you can't come and view that when we do that in the evening, you can either catch it on stream or you'll be able to watch the video that I upload about it the next day. But we do fun stuff like that all the time. The people in there have customs all the time. We have LFG. If you just want to talk, we have a section for everything. It's not just for Marvel Rivals. There's other games and stuff, and we're open to creating new channels and stuff whenever that's needed. But like I said, though, I think this is a really good video for a lot of you all, especially the fact that a lot of you seem to really enjoy, like I said, when I do these long form content. So I'm going to let that get into it in just a second. But I did want to say in advance, I do appreciate you all for watching and listening. And I'm not going to do an outro. So like I said, I'm just going to say it again. I really appreciate you all for listening and watching. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. It's Father Dark. All right. So for the people that are listening, tell me a little bit about yourself, just to make sure you pronounce your name just Giselle, right?
Yeah, it's just Giselle, and you mean like about myself, like what? Like as far as like
Whatever you'd like to preface and share with the people that are listening about yourself.
well, I play games casually. I normally come from like really, really casual games like The Sims, City Skylines. I've played other games in the past. I have three brothers that are older than me, so I grew up on video games.
Okay.
I've been around for a long time. So I've been there for PlayStation 1. I mean like the in the 90s. N64, Nintendo, whatever. So I know games, but um yeah, I play games to get away. I am a nurse. So the little bit of time that I have at home, I do enjoy playing games casual. And the only reason that I played because I'm like you, Rivals was my first hero shooter. So I was totally against it when it came out in December. Um, because I was like, oh, that's not my type of game. But then I played it because a couple of my friends and my girls from my book club were playing it. I'm like, y'all play this game a little bit too much. I need to like learn how to play it so y'all don't like leave me in the dust. So I literally secretly learned how to play and became addicted. So here we are.
Okay. So what about it initially kind of like had you like hesitant to want to play it, just out of curiosity?
Well, first of all, I think it's on topic. I don't like games that have open mic comms simply because I am a girl and people can be, first of all, there are a lot of kids who play these games. There are a lot of olds who play, and there are just like a lot of a-holes who play as well. So I just don't want to deal with it. I'd rather just, whatever. And also, I'm not really like a Call of Duty shooter. I'm not really, well, I wasn't really good at aiming, or I didn't think I was. So I'm like, it's just another game that's gonna come and go. And then once I seen it wasn't going nowhere, I'm like, okay, maybe I should learn it early. So I didn't start playing until like season 1, like the beginning of January. That's when I started.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, like what are some of the characters that you enjoy playing the most?
Well, I'll just give you a little history of how it started. So obviously, we go based off what we think is cool first. So I thought that Storm was cool. And I was like, oh, I can't really get with Storm. Like, I'm getting killed, blah, blah, blah. So then I was like, all right, let me try some other people in the practice range. I fell in love with Scarlet. And then I was like, she doesn't do enough damage for me. Then I fell in love with Namor randomly, which he wasn't really like easy on the, like aesthetically for me. Like, I didn't want to play a male character just because I'm a girly girl, whatever. But then I fell in love with Namor. I lorded him like in like a week and a half.
Oh,
That's
wow.
when I knew I was addicted to the game. And then I went back to learn Storm, fell in love with her, lorded her. Then I went back and lorded Wanda. And then I was like, okay, nobody. I don't like babysitting, so I stayed away from strategists for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to learn a tank. And at the time, I was like, I'm a really aggressive player. So I went and lorded Thor, because he's extremely aggressive. And then once Emma came out, I lorded her. And
Oh
now I'm
wow.
working on Magic, Adam, and Penny. Yeah,
Okay.
those are my three next lords, hopefully.
I think you got more lords than I do, to be honest with you.
I mean,
So
because when I tell myself I'm gonna learn something, I really put the time in to learn it. If I'm not, can't learn it, I don't play it.
okay. Yeah, I'm more of a flex player, so unfortunately, I just kind of have to go with whatever's not being picked. So, but
Yeah, and you know, ever since I started like watching your content and learning it, I've really like honed in on that. I'm like, okay, it's not the fact that I don't know how to play strategist. I don't prefer it because I I feel like I'm over here healing these people and they're not doing what I would do if I was on the tank. Like, why are the tanks scared to push up and we're right behind you? So I'm like, oh God, I'll be regretting like, and that makes sense. Like I regret being the healer because the tanks are not doing like push up. You have two healers, three healers behind you, and you just won't move up.
yeah, that's kind of the
And
whole point of a
I
tank.
find myself like playing in front of the tanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I have that issue a lot too, which is the only reason I started playing as tank. When I'm playing the healer and I'm out DPSing and out tanking the tanks, then I think it's time to maybe switch roles a little bit. But every situation is different.
Exactly.
So, all right. So tell me about kind of like your history with gaming and why it is that you feel like you were kind of like hesitant to play like open mic games. Like what in the past has kind of given you that mindset.
Well, I think a lot of like old school gamers experience the well, we obviously, you know, like you would have to play games with people, like your cousins or your whoever, they would have to come over, right? Back in the day. Like I'm in my 30s, so
Oh yeah.
um, you know, like back in the day, like they came over to spend the night. Everybody was playing on like one TV. And I think somewhere in like 2000, like 9, 10, 8, maybe I could be wrong. That's when gaming like became like an online thing. And I don't know if it was just me being a young cheater where I want, you know, how people like, don't look at my screen, don't look at my screen. And you swear up and down you weren't,
But
but
you
you
were.
were. But you were like GoldenEye 007. Listen, I remember looking cheating on my brothers on that game heavily. But I think that it was just scary. Like I remember my one of my brother that's right older than me, he wanted to play Halo, and I think it was online. And I remember being so scared, like not knowing what was around the corner, not knowing this, not knowing. Now I'm like, even though it's the same type of game, it's just kind of like it's online, and it was scary. But I think that the thing that really made me not uh want to play is because people, you know, those things where certain type of groups of people have to be better than average in order to be like looked at as like good, right? So when you see a girl on a game that's like male dominated, she can't just be as good as those guys. She has to be extremely better. Or there's always these excuses. There's always this, oh this and that. And I get discouraged from hearing that. Plus, I used to think of myself as not really being good at those type of games because I don't think I can aim. I don't like playing with keyboard and mouse. Even like with on Rivals, I play with my controller, but I really heavily tone the controller settings, like it's just to fit each individual hero, and but how people can be. And I think it's more so like I would see people get on games and there'll just be a bunch of kids. They'll be so toxic. They'll be complaining, crying. It'll be them going on, um, them going on, and I'm just like, even in Rivals, like I literally turn off um the voice chat, and sometimes I even turn off the text chat because they're toxic in there too. And I found myself, I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's better for me that it's off because it makes me want to keep playing. But then I also think about it, and I'm like, a lot of people play with it on, and I'm assuming that you guys do better when you can talk to people. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's a double-edged sword.
I mean, me personally, I keep voice chat off. I keep text chat on, but I keep voice chat off just because I get very annoyed with like background noises and stuff. You know, I have my own room that's dedicated to gaming, and I understand not everybody has that. And a lot of people, they have, you know, they're playing in the living room. They got the kids running around, you know, smoke
Hmm.
detectors chirping in the background, babies crying. A lot of people don't realize that, like, if you have a microphone on and then you have your like TV volume on, that just echoes back into the microphone, which is really weird to me in 2025. But you know,
Right.
it's just basic things like that that get on my nerves, and I just don't want to hear it. Toxicity, I don't care about as much, but I do. It does distract me when I'm hearing people arguing and stuff like that versus like where I don't hear it. It's one thing when it's in text chat because like a lot of times when I'm locked in, I don't pay text chat attention. A lot of times, like, you know, you probably see it in videos where like once the round is ended, then I'll, you know, press enter and open up the text chat and kind of go back through to see what people were saying or whatever the case is. But I'm kind of like you know, one dimensional in that mindset where I just kind of want to focus on what's going on. I don't really like a lot of outside distractions, and it's not even like it's a personal thing toward any of them. A lot of times, even like when I'm playing with like friends and stuff, I find that it becomes distracting. Like little things, like if I hear them getting like discouraged or upset or triggered, or you know, they keep sitting back telling you to like swap every 2 seconds, just trying out anything and hoping that something different is going to work. Not that I'm you know, that I have an issue with that, but sometimes it just kind of becomes a little bit more distracting, and I find it's a lot easier for me to focus when I can just put a little music on in the background and just kind of focus on what I'm doing. And if I need to, then I'll kind of go into the text chat and say, hey, can we swap out this role, or you know, whatever the case is. So but that's just me. And there's a lot of people that say that they do better when they communicate with people and stuff, and they give call outs, but I've won plenty of games where we never said a word to each other, not even in text chat. People just kind of read the room. So it's always different. And there may be some games that I could have won where if like I would have had chat on and I would have just made certain call outs to people. So
Hmm.
like you said, I think it's a double-edged sword, and it can go either way. But so tell me about like any times that you've had like really like toxic teammates and stuff like that, and how you feel like that's kind of affected you, and how you handle gaming and stuff like that, and maybe some hesitancies that you have with certain things.
Well, I'll tell you, when I first joined, started playing Marvel Rivals, it was because one of my friends, he was like, he's a content creator, and he was really, really, really playing Rivals all like December. And I was like, you know what? That was when I said, let me learn it. So I literally snuck and learned the game, and I really got good at it. And he would have like these open lobbies when he would stream, and he asked me to join. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I guess it's my time to shine, right? And there, obviously, people have been playing like a month before me, right? So, you know, like when you think like you're a pioneer of the game, you think you're so good, you think you know everything. Like some people do. So, um, there was a guy in there. He didn't talk to me. He talked around me, if you know what I mean. Like he was kind of like saying like what I needed to do, who wasn't good. And you know, like I don't know if you remember, but you know, like playing Rivals, obviously when you start, like you want to play who you think you know. Like in your first week, you can't be a flex. You can try, you know what I mean? But you can try, but I was literally trying to learn one character at a time. So they're telling me the only character that I know I shouldn't be playing. So I'm like, he's live. You may just going through the whole like all these matches, like trying to play who you think I should be playing. So he was, and I was literally having like, you know, like I don't know. Even to this day, people don't like Groot, and when I see Groot, I'm like, I love it. Like especially as Emma, I'm like, this is easy. But he was basically telling me like this person Scarlet doesn't do damage, she doesn't do this, and I had been playing a whole week of like dominating on Scarlet. So it kind of made me feel discouraged. I'm like, I don't want to argue with this guy on your like while you're live, but he's literally like, because again, he was being indirect. He wasn't saying it to me for me to make a response. He wanted me to respond to what he was saying. So, and he kept on, and like he would make little things like people who are like low, like literally like the level, your account level, um they really don't know how to play like that and this, and I'm just sitting here like, what? And then I even heard like even still to this day, people say people who don't play rank are not good at the game. And I'm like, just because you actively choose to select rank doesn't mean you're good. And I think it goes, you made a comment a few weeks ago and you were saying like, yeah, we call LeBron the GOAT, but there's probably Marcus around the corner who does not have no desire to be in the NBA, but he's probably better than LeBron. We'll never know.
I think that's a very good
Yeah.
point. There's a, not to cut you off, just to add a little context to that as well, a little bit more context. There's someone in our server. Her name is Aiki Kana, I believe is how you pronounce it. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, I apologize if you're listening. But nonetheless, though, she is an amazing Cloak and Dagger. Now, Cloak and Dagger is probably one of my favorite healers, next to like Invisible Woman. And she doesn't play ranked. This was actually who was supposed to be kind of like the main person for this video initially, but she didn't feel comfortable talking on a video. She's a very kind of like quiet individual, right? So, but nonetheless, the point I'm making is that we do custom matches in our server all the time, right? And everybody joins in. It's really fun and stuff like that. But I have noticed that even though she doesn't play ranked, I would argue and say that she's a far better Cloak and Dagger than myself, or just strategist kind of overall. She just kind of like mains Cloak and Dagger. So I think that just kind of adds to the point that you're making in regards to a lot of times there's people who don't necessarily play ranked, but they might just be overall better at a character, or maybe just understand the game and the mechanics and stuff better than someone that does choose to just do nothing but play ranked. So I do think that there's exceptions to that sometimes, but go ahead.
And that was my whole point. I'm like, it's an active choice. Like you can be the best player on Marvel Rivals and always play quick match. Because I've if you look at people's profiles, and it's not to say like anybody specifically or whatever, but some people all they do is play rank and they're in platinum and diamond, which is cool. I mean, I'm like whatever, fine. But my thing is, I know that I'm good at the game, and when I do decide to play rank, I skate up to wherever I need, wherever my goal is, and then I'm just like, all right, whatever I'm done, I'm just gonna just go in quick play, and I'm just gonna work on my proficiencies on my heroes, right? But then people will say like this, like for instance, it was like what last week, one of my old college friends, he just started streaming, and and he was playing Mantis. It was so random. I'm like, and I have beef with Mantis players. I'm like, oh, when I see him, I'm like, oh god, either they're good or they're bad. There's almost like a Spider-Man. So he was really good, and he was asking me like what rank was I, and I was telling him. He was like, well, you can play rank with us, and I'm like, oh God, I don't do rank. I don't. So I just play, right? But before I played, the guy that he was in comms with was like, oh, like I said, I was like, I just play casually. I just get the gold rewards, and then I'm out of rank. And then the guy he was in comms with was like, oh, we have a casual player. Oh Lord. Like really, like you know what I mean? Like making it seem like because somebody's casual, they can't carry you in rank. So I joined them and I was carrying them in rank. I don't think I've ever won that many rank games in a row. It was like maybe like 9.
Oh
And
wow.
I'm just like, and I'm like, like, and just like I said earlier, I don't. If I'm gonna do something, it's because I know I'm gonna try to at least be the best at whatever I'm doing. If I'm gonna play Emma, not because she's cute, not because she's sexy or whatever, blah blah blah, it's because I want to be a beast with her. Just like I'm trying to learn. I don't feel comfortable going out in a ranked match playing Magic right now. But do I go out and play Magic and get 20, 30 kills? Um, in quick match, yeah. But I don't know how that would translate to rank as of yet, because I'm still like, sharpening the sword, if
Oh
that
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, most definitely. I do think that's
You
interesting.
know,
I had a game the other day. Well, it was a few games back to back where I just got absolutely destroyed by Loki. Like no matter what I was doing, he was just kept flanking around on me. It seemed like his healing was just insane. My team was really struggling to like eliminate people and take out his clones and stuff like that. And it was just irritating that every time like you would hear an ult, you'd say, "Oh, okay, well they got their healer ult out of the way," and then Loki comes in right behind him with a healing ult. You know what I mean? Or he has the ability to. Sometimes he doesn't have to do healing ults. He can just kind of choose like the best ult at the time for whatever the situation requires. And I don't ever play Loki. I can probably count on one hand how many times I've played him in a match. And I just decided I was like, hey, you know what? forget it. I'm just tired of getting beat by Loki. I might as well, if you can't beat him, join him, right? So I went to go play Loki in ranked, and I was literally on the fly learning his abilities and stuff, but I was just kind of doing the things that I saw other people doing, putting his lamps down at the right moments when you're getting dived, and putting his clones in these really hard to get to places, and then just teleporting to or switching with the clones and stuff like that. Actually ended up having one of my best games of the day yesterday. I think it was actually in the video that I posted a part of it toward the end. We ended up winning, and I'm just kind of jokingly at the end put like that was my first time playing Loki, and everybody was kind of like, what? So I do think there's exceptions. Go ahead.
That's what I told my friend. Like when I first started playing, remember I told you I started off like with on Wanda and Storm, and I kept and at the time I didn't know no more like that. Obviously, I seen Black Panther too, but I was like, this Wakanda MF
Yeah.
keeps shooting me out the air, blah blah. And I keep telling people when you have beef with the character, try them.
Yeah.
That might be the character or the hero that you really are good with. And I like the fact that you said that because anytime I cannot stand a character, I'm like, let me see why I can't stand this character. And then you'd be like,
I actually
yeah,
like
this
him.
character's for me.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's how it was with Magic. I'm like, but I think that me lording Thor, it really like me that aggressive nature that Thor has. I don't like playing in the back like that. I'll play in the back, but I'm just like, no, I need to be in the front. That's what made me want to learn Magic. I never had no desire to learn Magic.
No,
And I'm like,
I'm
I
in the same
have to
boat.
challenge myself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same exact boat. Like I said, I started out just playing a support player. Didn't understand this game. Didn't understand the mechanics and stuff. I felt bad. I felt like I was weighing my team down in the very beginning. So I would always just play support because that's what people said. And as time went on, like you said, I got tired of getting dove by Black Panther, Magic, Spider-Man especially. It was just irritating. And yeah, I learned how to like sleep them and stuff like that, or CC them and kill them. But I was like, what? Let me just actually play Spider-Man so I can understand like his cooldowns and what his abilities are and what goes through a Spider-Man's head. And as soon as I started playing him, I was just like, oh, I see why people love Spider-Man. He's extremely fun. He's probably one of the most fun people to play as in the game. And I ended up lording Spider-Man and, maining him for a while. But like I said, when when you play Flex, you can't really ever play who you want, especially if your favorite character is a DPS or a tank. You're more than likely going to end up playing healer. That's just what people tend to not want to play. It's really rare that I get those matches where like 4 people are fighting over who gets to be support. And I'm like, oh, I can actually play DPS or tank now, but that's really
Well, let
rare.
me ask you something. Why do you? I want to ask you, why do you feel like as a Flex player that you can't play who you want? And I'm only asking because some of my friends like they'll start playing, and then they'll be like, "Oh, I have to play healer because nobody wants to play." I'm like, if you select who you want to select, maybe 7 times out of 10, other people will just fill the other roles. Now it's happens where it's like, okay, well, I do have to heal because we have 5 DPS or blah blah blah. But a lot of times people was just like, all right, if I hurry up and I don't feel like playing healer, and I'm like, all right, forget it, I'm just gonna play Emma this round.
Yeah,
Somebody,
go ahead.
a lot of times people just switch. A lot of times people just switch and go heal.
Yeah, and the thing is that like that'll more than likely happen a lot of the times. But the problem is that it's the balance of the situation. So let's say a lot of times you have these people who that's all they do is they DPS because being a support player is frowned upon a lot of times, and a lot of people just they want to play who they want to play, their favorite characters. They're kind of one trick ponies, and they might have one other character that they kind of know a little bit. It's really rare that you get people that actually understand numerous different characters and roles and stuff like that. So a lot of times I will do that. I'd say, okay, well, I'm gonna insta lock this character. I'm just gonna make people deal with it. I play Flex 98% of the time, so they'll just have to deal with it. But then you get into a situation where we have 3 rounds of a match and they've collectively gotten like 7k in healing. Meanwhile, the enemy healers are in 20, 30, 40k healing and stuff. And that just at the end of the day, like somebody has said it in a previous stage that we had on Discord where they were saying that like I'm like a Renaissance man. At the time I didn't know what it was. I looked it up, and basically it just means that like I'm going to use whatever the most appropriate tool is like to get the job done, complete my mission, however you want to put it. And that's kind of how I am. Like my pride goes back seat to me wanting to win. I don't like losing. I'd rather be the person saying GG too easy in the chat versus the person that's getting it said to. And a lot of times like that's what it comes down to, because like I said, I know a couple of roles from at least every a couple of characters from every role. So for me, if I have to play healer, I'm going to be able to heal really well. If I have to play tank, I understand how to play Thor, how to play Penny, how to play, Strange, Hulk. I can make space if need be. Even Emma now, I've grown to like Emma as well. And it's the same thing with DPS. I understand how to play a couple dive characters, how to play some poke, and everything in between, right? So like I said, if people don't feel comfortable in a role, it's only going to make that role suffer. Like I said, yeah, people might more than likely switch if they see that there is no healers. I've done that before. Everybody was like, well, I'm not going to switch. And then they do, but then they're terrible at healing. They have no idea how to stay alive. They don't understand the positioning, when to be aggressive, when not, how to
And then
properly
they
use
get
their ults.
blamed.
Yeah, and the thing is like I said, the blame part does nothing for me. I'm trying to win, and the thing is like I do predominantly play ranked. I play quick play to learn characters and stuff, or to warm up for the day. But ultimately, like I'm really playing ranked. I don't care what people do or don't do in quick play. We could have no healers, and I'm just gonna go Spider Man because I could just swing to a health pack immediately, But when it comes to ranked, though, it's like I'm not trying to sit here for 20 or 30 minutes and waste my time, which is like the only thing in the world that I can't get back, just because I want it to be petty and not go with the role that I had to. And I find that like when I play flex that things just work out a lot easier. I mean, sometimes there's only so much you can do. Some people, that's all they play is tank, but they're just not very good at tank. And it's like, why are you playing tank if you don't know how to really play tank? But what are you going to do about that,
Right.
right? Like it's not like they can learn other characters on the fly. Like not everybody can do that. And even with the situation I was talking about with Loki, that hasn't always worked. Sometimes I'll say, well, I watched enough Magic players. Let me just select Magic real quick. And she just swings a sword around, right? It's like, no, you have to actually learn those combos and learn the timing and how to back off and all that kind of stuff.
And
Same thing.
survivability.
Exactly, right? Like you can't just constantly just be out exposed. Like you have to know what your cooldowns are. Same thing with Spider-Man. You have to know how to like kind of like hunt and stalk people and stuff and how to get in and get out, where the health packs are, all that kind of stuff. And you have to have your settings fine-tuned for Spider-Man, because what works for Spider-Man is not going to work for other characters, etc. So it's just a situation like that. I just think that for me, flex works out, and not everything is for everybody. I do think that people should learn how to play other characters, but I just think that like you have to kind of mentally have that passion for it, and if you don't, it's going to show in your gameplay. If you really hate having to play that role, that's why I purposely try to find characters that I actually enjoy playing. Like, for example, I used to not like playing tank, but then I found Thor and I was like, oh man, he's super aggressive. I can just get up in people's faces and
That's how I was. That's
beat him with a
exactly how I
hammer.
was.
Yeah, so and then Penny, she's really
Pushing the
fun
back,
for.
saving them.
Yeah, and like I said, there's like you have Penny, who's not like an aggressive tank, but she's really good if you have to hold a point down. She can be very annoying, and now this season she's especially annoying. So it's like and then as time goes on, it's like I never liked Strange, but I've been learning Strange more lately, and I start to see the relevance of like if you have a long area that you have to push down, you kind of need those shield players and stuff. Magneto, even knowing when to put his bubble on people, like Punisher when he's ulting, or save one of your healers if they're ulting, and there's another Magneto that's gonna try to hit him with his ult or whatever, right? So there's just a lot of different things, but yeah, that's pretty much why I
Yeah.
enjoy playing flex over not.
I just realized something. I realized that I used to lord or focus on lording a character like every 2 weeks. But I think since like hearing, like watching you like every other day when you release the video, talk about flex this, flex this, it really made me be like when I join matches, like the people that I want to work on now, like Adam, Magic, Ultron, they don't fit every team. So I find myself going and playing stuff like you said that works for the win. But then it's like a double-edged sword because I can't work on my proficiency. When I was learning Emma, obviously I can just pick tank all the time. We always need a tank. You know what I mean? When I'm with learning Storm, okay, Storm is just one of the DPS. Like Adam doesn't always work. Magic doesn't always work. And I find myself like switching off of them just to get the win. And I don't know if I really like that.
Well, I mean, the thing is like I said, quick play is like your best bet, because in quick play, there's a lot of stuff that I would do that I wouldn't do in rank. We talk about this all the time, like in the server, in regards to like, should you switch? I don't know if we made a video out of that, or if we just had a conversation. I never used the footage from it, but a lot of people felt very passionately about it, and they felt differently. See, me, like in quick play, let's take Spider-Man for example. I really enjoyed finding the people that were supposed to be my counters, like Wanda, Namor, just whoever is supposed to be like a hard counter to Spider-Man, right? Which there's a handful of them, Magics, and I would purposely try to eliminate them, and like learn how to like what I had to do is a little bit harder than the average, character in the game for Spidey, but I really enjoyed learning how to get around a lot of the stuff that they do. And the reason why I brought that up is because like in ranked matches, I'm the complete opposite. In ranked matches, if I'm playing someone and you swap, then I just swap to whatever your counter is. Because at this point, it's just a chess match, right? It's like every character has someone that makes their life miserable. And usually whatever the most popular options are for people to use, those are the things that I'll learn the counters for. And then I'll also learn how to play them so I understand what it's like and what the best players can do with them. And when they really, like you said, max out that proficiency and have a far better understanding of the character. So like I said, with like, I feel like it's different. If you're playing quick play and you just want the wins, that's one thing. It's not like one thing is better than the other one. But me personally, if I'm playing quick play, I couldn't care less like what's going on. If we win, lose, if everybody goes negative, it's like as long as I got in there to accomplish whatever I was doing, like get a character lured or, understand that character better or purposely make my life harder by fighting against counters, that's one thing. But in ranked though, it's like, no, I'm not about to sit here and waste time, because like I said, it's different with quick play. Quick play, matches, they're like 9-10 minutes at the longest, right? Whereas ranked, especially when you get up in higher ranks, you're playing against people that are extremely competent, right? And teams that are coordinated and working together and stuff. So there's been times where I've had triple, quadruple overtime and stuff like that, right? Where it's like these matches went on for 35, 40 minutes. I'm not messing around when it takes that much of my life away. Yeah, I'm not dealing with that. I'd rather just do whatever is necessary to win. And that's one of the things that I see a lot, like once you start getting up into like higher ranks, people, when they go back to the spawn room, the first thing they're going to say is, what do we need to change? Do I need to do this? Give me that character. I think I could get more value out of that character. Who else do you know? People are working on trying to get like the proper team ups and stuff. They're trying to create portals to flank around on people to keep them distracted. Like any little thing they can do to get like a leg up. And like I said, I don't want to be the weakest link on the team. But quick play though, no, I literally couldn't care less. People that crash out and like really care about quick play, it's kind of like a mystery to me. But like I said, there's a lot of people in the comments whenever I bring that up, they're always saying like, yeah, just because it's quick play, I don't want to lose though. And I get that because there's some people that only play quick play, but I'm just like, I live in a world where no one is checking for your quick play stats. They're only checking your rank stats.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say that though. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier, right? Mm-hmm. People will use anything against a girl, right? Like if I'm sitting here saying I'm good at this, and like I'm playing one of my guy friends and one of his other friends don't believe me, and he goes to my profile and he sees, oh, she's only won 100 matches, but she's played 800. You know what I'm saying? It kind of goes into that thing of like, she's just chatting. So me being competitive and actually being good, I do kind of, and I'm only saying this because I was countering what you were saying as far as like the quick play stats. Some people, including myself, I don't like to see a loss deficit. Like I'm like, nah, because again, like I said earlier, sometimes you have to be better than the average gamer. And just like you said, you don't come from hero shooters, me neither. So I don't really know how it works. I just know I don't want a bunch of losses. So I kind of get discouraged, but I do have to get out of that mindset. Like just lose. Like it doesn't matter. But I'm just so competitive naturally.
Yeah, and don't get it twisted. There have been times where the enemy team was talking junk in the chat, and I could tell we were about to lose, and I knew that all I needed to do was just switch over to any character that I knew comfortably, which is a lot, and I could win, especially maybe if it was a particular character that I knew would hard counter whatever they had going on, and I will, just because like they're talking. Now, if it's a team and they're not saying anything and everybody's like GG, whatever, but if people are in the chat going like, oh man, you just got diffed so hard, or oh man, that guy Father Dark is terrible, blah blah blah, I'm like, oh, you want to see terrible? Okay, hold on. Let me switch over to Spidey. Let me switch over to Wanda really quick. Let me show you. Let me show you who's terrible, right? And then the tide can get turned that quick because a lot of times that's your enemy's biggest weakness is their assumptions that they're making about you. They're in their head they might think that you're trying as hard as they are when in reality you're playing a character that you might have 15 minutes on and you're just listening to music or a podcast, relaxing, not taking it that serious, and they force that out of you. And I've had the same thing happen in reverse. I've had ranked matches where we were destroyed destroying them. And all I said was to the enemy Spider-Man, who was like 2 and 11, I was like, hey man, you guys should tell that Spidey to switch. He's selling you guys. And immediately the whole team collectively worked together. They gave him the Venom team up, everything. I was getting dove left and right, and they were focusing me so hard. And, we ended up losing. And like they're valuable lessons like that, right? Where you learn that, like, hey, maybe sometimes people are just chilling. Like, don't make them, go Super Saiyan mode on you and teach you a lesson.
Don't
right?
turn them up. Don't turn them up.
Yeah, because
you never know. Like that, even when games are in overtime and you've been crushing the team and they're at that first point, they can turn around. And so I've seen it. And then the team that was doing so good will be sitting there silent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're too busy trying to stay alive. Focusing on not getting the living hell dove out of them.
At the end of the match, they were sitting here pushing up to the door, doing this, doing that, like at the spawn, just being funny. And then when the match is over, nobody's saying nothing because you can't believe you just threw the game.
Mm-hmm. No,
I will stop healing if I'm a healer. I'm like literally will type in the chat, can y'all back away from the spawn? If they kill you, the match can turn a tank. Like it happens all the time.
No, that's a really good point. We go back and forth about this because I tend to be extremely aggressive. Like I just want to like plow through the enemy, get them off the point or away from it, and then once they're in their spawn, I just start going back and pushing them back. But I do think that there's like a balance because one of the mods in the server, Mace, who's a friend of mine, she'll also be in this video, but she's taking a nap right now. Nonetheless, though, she has a saying that's like, because she's German, she has a saying. It's called "Strawberry of the Hero Field," Hero of the Strawberry Field. And basically, it just kind of means that like you do unnecessary stuff to be viewed as like a hero or important or whatever. But it's just a joke she makes because like when I play Thor a lot, like I get very aggressive and I just keep pushing, and I'll just have them sitting outside of their spawn.
I get it.
And she'll just be sitting on the point like, I'm not pushing up there with you all. Like, and then eventually, the team comes out and they switch to a character that's like Thor's counter or whatever, and they decimate me. And then she's like, "See, told you." Like I said, I
told you, right?
Yeah.
But I get it though. As a Thor main, I get it. But you also like, I'm not just you specifically. The tank that's pushing up also has to be accountable if they die because the healers are trying to heal you. But at some point, you got 6 people only shooting you, and you are not shooting them. Or you can't get to them, they just gonna kill you, and then they're gonna kill us. They're gonna kill the next person.
Exactly, and then the tables get turned. Now they're sitting outside of your spawn room, right? You're all trying to figure out how to get out.
Exactly, and that's how I say like that's why I love Emma, because Emma can be aggressive, but she can also create space, and she can just literally stand, especially now with the range change. She can literally just dominate. And I think that I was already a good Emma. And then once I learned, don't like kicking and diamond form is last resort.
Yeah.
Like, keep that beam on 100%. Keep that shield up. Keep them healers safe. And everything will work out. I don't think I've had one match with Emma that I've lost this whole half season.
Okay. Yeah, I had to learn Emma. I just got so tired of, she completely changed the dynamic of the game. The fact that like, the only thing I can really do now is kind of bait out her diamond form. But then as soon as I hear that sound effect, I'm like, I'm using my hammer to fly back or whatever character I'm using. I immediately kind of get back because there's just nothing that you can do. You're just you're just caught in a animation scene, and more than likely the whole team is going to just gang up on you. Kind of like when Bruce comes out from the Hulk form, everybody just kind of crowds around him and like it's like he's just standing there waiting to get jumped. Like literally nothing he can do.
Let me ask you something. Do you hate Groot?
No, I don't hate Groot because there's numerous counters. I mean, you got Punisher, you got Wolverine. I mean, there's so many different ways to just counter him. But I do get why people dislike him because it is kind of irritating to play against, especially like as a support player, because tanks want to naturally just keep pushing up, and then Groot's going to just put that wall there. And then a lot of times, if it's
about the support,
you're going to have to like try to heal them, and they don't realize it that they've been cut off because they're looking forward with tunnel vision. And the thing is like with me,
so you try to back up and you feel like you can't back up no more. You're like, wait, there's a wall behind me.
Exactly. And the thing is like I know to expect that. So just like with Emma, it's like I will bait out the walls and then go back, and I just kind of try to keep holding them there. But that's the whole thing, is that he's really good at cutting off like areas and stuff and cutting people off, and no one else really does enough damage. Like, for example, if you're playing a support player, you're not going to be able to output enough damage to break those walls in the time that the whole enemy team is just going to like delete them. So it just kind of really forces you to play completely different if you don't have someone like a Punisher or anyone else that just can shred those walls down really quick. But when you're playing against a good team, I just feel like it's easy to counter him. I mean, I kill Groot all the time by myself as Cloak and Dagger. I don't know if it's like he does, like they do extra damage to him when they blind him and then start using like the cloak form attack. I don't know if it does extra damage or it just feels like it, but it just feels like he gets absolutely demolished by me every time. Like I have zero fear of a Groot whatsoever, but everybody else is like, I can't stand him, you know? And I just think it's like they don't know how to play against him.
That's what I said. The same thing. Especially, it don't matter if I'm playing, especially when I'm playing Emma. When I'm playing Emma and I see a thing or a Groot, I'm like, it's lunchtime. Because it's like it's easy. Like it's easy. Like especially for them to get your like beam to 100. I'm like, because they can't really do nothing. And if it puts a wall up, go around it, back up, and then even when you're beaming on the wall, you don't gain anything, but it stops you from losing the beam charge.
Yeah.
And even when I was playing Wanda, like that's another thing I wanted to bring up. I don't even know if it's on topic, but a lot of people will look at like, I did the most damage, I did the most healing, I did this, and I did that, and I'm just like, wait a minute, wait. We also have to take an account of which character you're on, right? Because there are people like Storm. I'm a Storm main, right? The kills count for every person you touch, as long as they don't get fully healed. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, no. As long as you put like a decent amount of damage into them, you're gonna get the elimination.
Right. So her goddess boost, if you're striking 5 people, but you're not killing them, you get 5 kills. So a lot of people will say, well, I got 30 kills, but okay, how much damage did you do? Or on the flip side, Wanda will do a little bit of damage, but she kept an Iron Man in check the whole time. She kept that Storm in check the whole time. And then people were like, well, you didn't really do anything on Wanda, but Iron Man couldn't kill y'all because Wanda was going up there pushing him back.
No, I love Wanda.
Yeah, people will say, like, she only got 4 kills, but the reason y'all were able to not to win the match is because Iron Man could not do anything to y'all because she kept flying up scaring him.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's a lot of factors.
Yeah, the scoreboard can really create like an illusion. I've been having a few games lately where we've had like 3 times, everybody had 3 times the enemy's eliminations. Like they would barely even be breaking double digits with eliminations, and we'd all be like in 20s and 30s and stuff, even the healers, and we'd still lose. And it really kind of like makes you understand that a lot of times like eliminations are not the only thing at play there, and it's really just like if the team is working together toward like the objective correctly. And like I said, you would think like, oh, well, how could they work with the objective if we're just eliminating them so much? And the thing is like you were kind of saying about pushing back into their spawn, and like, yeah, that seems cool for a minute, but then what about when they delete you, and then maybe one of their characters flanked around and took over the point, and while you were racing back to the point, they shot you in the back, and then, you know what I'm saying, like stuff like that, right? That a lot of people just don't take into account, and they just look at the numbers, kind of like a Call of Duty thing where it's team deathmatch, and it's like, oh well, I got 60 eliminations, so we should have won, right? It's like, no, when there's an objective at play, the eliminations are nice, they're cool, they're you know, they give you that dopamine rush that you like, but it's not telling the whole story. And, you know, like I said, a lot of people don't understand too as well, like you were saying about like the final hits and damage and stuff. A lot of people will say, well, look at all this damage that I output. Okay, well, you were just feeding their healers ult charges. That's why I like players like Spider-Man, where more than likely 9 times out of 10, unless you're being pocketed, if I go after you as Spider-Man, my damage with him is rarely ever more than like 7K. That's like high for him. Usually it's like around 5K, but the final hits are ridiculous. Usually like 15, 16 final hits, because every single person that I shoot with a couple of like the webs, when I go to grab them and uppercut them, they die immediately. Like it's over and done with. And a lot of times you're playing in the back line, so people aren't even putting any extra damage on them. And that's the thing, is like if characters only have 250, 275 health and stuff like that, and they're dying before people even realize what's going on. Same thing with Black Panthers. They kill people before people can respond and heal them and stuff. So those characters should not have a lot of damage. Now, when you're playing as a tank, you're more than likely outputting a lot of damage, because it's not so much about your eliminations, it's could you create space. If you're pushing a car, all you have to do is just keep pushing the enemy back. No one even has to eliminate each other, as long as you're just pushing them back. Captain America is a really good example of that. He doesn't even have to kill anybody. He can just run around endlessly in the back line, and people will focus on him so much that they forget to do the main objective, which is like protect the cart, right? Or block against it or attack it or whatever, right? And like I said, I've won games where I only got 4 eliminations as Captain America, and my whole team was just eating for free because everyone was just staring at me like, kill that Captain America. Same thing when I first started playing Spider-Man. I wasn't as good, so people would just focus on me and be like, we got to kill this Spider-Man, even though I'm literally doing nothing. I'm just swinging around playing a Spider-Man simulator in the background. I'm not even killing anybody. They're just so focused on me that they don't pay
That's
attention.
the job well done, right? Because even as Spider-Man, you're creating opportunities for the team to push the objective. So regardless if you have kills, if you have damage, you had them shook. And I think a lot of people take that for granted. They'll say, well, they'll listen to a creator saying this person's not good, this person's not good, or look at the stats on this person. But if you're being proficient with the hero, it doesn't matter how much damage, what, because like I said, was saying with Scarlet, a lot of times Scarlet will clean up kills. She will clean up. Okay, well, you need to get this person. Okay, boom. Let me go over here and get them. Bop, bop, bop. And then she'll end up, like you said, 6, 7K, just like Spider-Man. But she literally was annoying to the opposing team. And people take that for granted. Had she not been on the team, they probably would have just shredded.
Yeah.
Especially these flyers. Like, Hela is not always the answer to a Storm or an Iron Man. Sometimes you need somebody to get up there and have them scared to push up.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's the thing is that like unless healers are being like heavily pocketed, a lot of times if they take any kind of damage, they're going to immediately kind of fly them back up because a lot of other supports don't necessarily look up. They're too busy kind of like just looking at the people directly in front of them and trying as hard. Because a lot of times as a support player, if the teams are equally matched, if you look away there's been times where like, I had to sneeze or something. And that 2 seconds that it took me to sneeze, I look up and my tank is dead. Right. Because it's like, that's how it is. You got to keep giving that like constant, damage because everybody's taking damage equally and being healed equally. So it's the same thing. And like flyers a lot of times get like the crappy end of the stick. And like I said, unless they're being pocketed, like if they're playing with a duo and if someone's just pocketing them, yeah, it's like even as like a cloak and dagger, I'll throw a couple shots up there because it's so much easier to hit them with that. You don't even have to really aim most of the time. And once they lose like 2 of their little health bars out of like, what is it, 6 or 7, they immediately go, I'm out of here. Let me fly off to a health pack or let me kind of back up a little bit and play a little bit smarter. So there's numerous different ways to accomplish that goal in regards to like getting flyers to back up. But Wanda has definitely become like one of my favorite because like you said, you can just fly right up to them, slap them a couple of times with her little magical arrow things or whatever, and then just finish them off as they're flying away with her main attack or whatever.
Or they'll panic. A lot of times you'll be so aggressive with them that they even switch. But that's the goal, right? That's the goal.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like flyers, I feel like people like playing flyers, but they don't know a lot of people don't know how to play them. Like when I play my flyers, I'm like, I play low. So I don't have to beg for heals. So I know how to get in front of a healer that might be focused on who they consider like the primary, like, like another DPS or a tank or something. I'm like, okay, well, hello, I'm here. Plus, like I said, with Storm, you benefit from flying low. I don't know about Iron Man. He can fly high. I'm like, I thought I was gonna be good with him, but I love playing low with my team. And that's why like me, I love Ultron. And I try to play him low so that I don't get hit as much, even though people still will. I don't know. I love Ultron. A lot of people don't like him, but I do.
I think Ultron was kind of designed to be more of a like a lower like flyer that's right around the team and stuff there, just with like his design choice for his abilities and stuff, and the fact that he gives shield to people that are around, kind of like with Storm. I feel like Storm was kind of made to be like someone who follows in behind the team, because if you think about it, the higher she goes up, the smaller that her circle gets on the floor for her ability and stuff, whether it's the electricity or the speed boost or whatever. Same thing with Ultron. They proved that the higher up he is, the less range there is for the shields to go out to the team. So obviously, like if you're right behind him, like in lower, he's going to be able to evenly distribute out those shields to the players on the team and stuff. Whereas like Iron Man, I think that he was kind of designed to just kind of sit up in the sky and just put ridiculous damage on people. But then you do have that option to get in closer with his beam and finish off a lot of eliminations and stuff and stop people from wanting to like push up and stuff like that. So I think that's why he has the ability to fly faster. Yeah, Johnny Storm as well.
Because I think that they encourage you to fly high with Johnny because you can't die when you're low. So I'm like, they encourage some people. Like when I think about Iron Man, I think about poking the back line. Like, and you have to be high to do that. When I think about Johnny diving, you have to be high to do that. Like with Storm, just like you were saying with that circle, you have to be low for the team to benefit. So it's just like, I think that I'm bad with the high flyers because I'm like, I don't like to be this. I don't play this scary. I don't play way up here.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know.
flyers for me are pretty rare that I'll pick them just because it seems like whenever I pick a flyer, people immediately pick the counters to those and they have zero issue getting me out of there, and my healers just seem like they're completely oblivious. But it's always funny how like when it's the enemy team, right? They have like an invisible woman pocketing them the whole time. They it's like they're only looking at them. They
Right.
don't lose any health. If they do, they gain it back immediately. They're perfect shots, So it's like I just kind of leave that to them, and I've just learned how to counter them. But they're not my like go to. Now, like I said, every situation is different. So if I'm playing against a team and they just seem like they have no idea how to counter a flyer, then yeah, like I will sometimes. But for the most part, though, I prefer more like mobility with characters and stuff. So I tend to go for like high mobility characters that can kind of get in and out of like situations really quickly. That's why like I love Spider-Man, because I can just get in there. If I mess up or miss a shot, whatever, I at least distract you for a few seconds, and I'm halfway back across the map already. But by the time you've even made the call out, so stuff like
Want to
that.
learn Spider-Man so bad, but oh my God, I got so much beef with him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like that's the thing is like the more beef you have with a character, the more you have to like. Even if it's not to play them, it's just to really get good with them and then understand like, oh, I know exactly how you're going to operate now. And like I said, that's it's the same exact thing. Like I have zero fear when I see a Spider-Man now because I've learned every single way that he can be countered by like really good players that countered me. And even like as a support, I know how to like freeze him as Luna. I know how to sleep him as Mantis. If he flies anywhere near me as Cloak and Dagger, he's getting blinded and he can't see where to swing to. Any good Spider-Man player turns off automatic swing, so they have to be able to see what they're attaching their web to, and they just become like blind for a moment and they just don't know what to do. And then you already have that damage boost and auto aim. So, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just you get like a little 6-second window where you can just have your way with Spider-Man. So it's like it's like little stuff like that. But like I said, I ultimately just I don't like having to be kind of like somewhere where I'm kind of stagnant. Even when it comes to like tanks, I still like prefer to use tanks that like that's probably what my beef with Magneto has been for so long. And the reason why like he's probably my least used tank is because he just moves so slow. I'm like, oh my
Oh,
god,
shit.
5 business days before I get like to wherever it is I'm trying to get to.
I don't know if it's his stance or if he's actually moving slow, but he seems really, really stiff. I don't know if you watch the Avenger movies, but he reminds me of like the guy Ebony Maw.
Ebony Maw. What is that from? From
He
oh yeah,
he
Marvel,
he
not Marvel's, but the Avengers movie.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
like one of Thanos' sidekicks. That's what he reminds me of. Like really strong, like he postures back is stiff.
Always upright, hand behind his back, making like the kung fu pose.
But you know what's funny is like this little protocol, like the little Magneto one that they just released, and you had to play him. I played him and I actually enjoy him.
Yeah, like once you really start to like play them, because I've been playing them lately too, just because like I said, there's certain comps where you kind of need that Magneto to bubble people and just push up. And I think too it was the fact that he's a poke character, and I tend to not really go for poke characters because like I said, I'd rather just get right up in your face, start swinging something around or beating the hell out of people, and then they're gonna be like, oh, everybody disperse, this Thor's going crazy. But like when you play a
That is
Magneto, you gotta just
real.
sit there and poke people with these little shots, and then you get that little thing where you can like push them back and do a little bit of damage or whatever. But he's definitely perfect in a lot of situations, especially like if they have a Cloak and Dagger who's ulting every 2 seconds, or a Loki that's switching to it. His ult is like perfect to make them really contemplate when and how they're gonna use their ult and not just use it so freely. So I have
Again, if
grown to
you're gonna
like him.
play him, you have to know how to play him. There's a lot of characters that you cannot just boot up and be like, okay, why not? No, you need to put the time in to learn this character before you sitting there out here throwing every other match.
Which is why, like,
Like
I will not ever use Magneto in quick play until I get to a certain point with him. But when I did use him in quick play, it was fun. But no, I'm not taking him in ranked.
yeah.
It's really rare that I do that. It's really rare. I remember the other day I was playing with one. She's the Jeff player that talks a lot in the videos, and
Mm.
she like at the last second we needed a portal, and she was just like, yo, because it was just me and her in the call, and everybody else was random. She was like, yo, switch to strange and use a portal. I'm like, you talking to me? She was like, I was like, I've
Right.
literally never used Strange in ranked. I think I've played him like 3 times in
Let
quick play.
alone a portal.
Yeah, yeah. And I actually ended up getting the portal off, and I just did, like I said, I just try to mimic what I see a lot of other people doing. So I kept doing that like shield with the whip thing, which I really don't like that. I don't know why they gave that man a whip. I feel like that's like racially motivated,
Yeah,
and I don't like that.
I agree. I agree.
But I still,
I
I
was
was like,
gonna say it.
whatever. I gotta make it work. So I was doing my attack, then shielding, then doing the whip and the little thing where he like exerts his magical energy or whatever. And we actually won, and I was really surprised. I was like, yo, that's crazy because I have never played Strange like that at all. He's just never really been my type of. Like I said, I'm far more aggressive, and I just feel like Strange is kind of like this in between where he can be aggressive, but a lot of times you're just holding your shield up while everybody else is like attacking, and that's just. It's not really my style, but it's interesting how like you may not like a character and then you play him and you go, huh, this isn't so bad. I see why so many
He's
people
right.
like him.
It's so bad, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, but I think that's the thing when you have what do we have like now, like 38 characters, 39 or something like that in the game. So there's only so much time to play so many different characters to a point to where you can really begin to form some type of connection with that character where you understand it and enjoy it, right? So.
Yeah, and that's why I'm torn. That's why I haven't had a Lord in like this whole, well, I Lord and Emma,
Mm.
but other than that, I'm literally spreading out proficiency between Adam, Magic, now Ultron, and Penny. I'm like, oh, I don't know who to focus on, but I really want to Lord Adam
Hmm.
because it's so difficult, and I just like to challenge myself.
Hmm.
But
God,
I'm
but a,
like,
but a
man,
good Adam when you already have a double support and then you add Adam on to that is probably one of the hardest teams to go up against because no one dies on the enemy team, like no one dies. And then if the
exactly.
Adam actually knows how to shoot and get those headshots with his main attack, it's curtains. Like there's nothing you're going to be able to really do about that. You can't dive him because he can just heal himself whenever he
Yeah,
needs to. You know what I'm saying? You can't get too close because he just does so much damage. And that's what I'm saying. If he actually knows how to aim really well with him, and the main healers are doing all that healing, and then like I said, as soon as you say, "Oh, I finally got this guy weak," everybody focus on him. He just gets fully healed by Adam, and you're like, "What?" Am I even doing here? It's like really mentally debilitating, and I would say some of the worst losses that I've suffered have been that where you've had like an Invisible Woman or a Rocket or Cloak and Dagger, Invisible, whatever, and then you have an Adam Warlock. A lot of times I'm like, oh, this is already about to be an L. I already know because we're about to get absolutely decimated. So he's definitely worth learning,
exactly.
in my opinion, for when you already do have two people that are healing. It's just only when you have those situations where a lot of people they don't understand like the off healers exist for a reason, and they'll try to do like Ultron
Swap
Adam
out.
Warlock. Yeah, and you're like, brother, you're not gonna do well against people that one have healing alts. Because that's the other thing too, is like they're good characters, but they also don't have healing alts. So if you're going against a
Hmm.
team that is doing all that healing and then they have healing alts, it's really hard to go up against that. You just have to be like so much better than the enemy team, and that can work like in quick play a lot of times because it's more like randomized. But in rank, once you get to a certain point, people are just gonna pounce on that, and just
And
take
that's what I
advantage of
was
it.
saying earlier. I was like, I can't play Adam as much as I want to
Mm.
because he doesn't fit in every match.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, if I play him, I might be throwing. Like, I remember that I was in a match with like a Mantis, which I had so much beef with her.
Hmm.
It was like a Mantis and me, Adam, and I'm like, oh. And I'm like, Mantis, can you switch, please? She was like, no. And then I was like, all right, whatever. And we won. But then she started talking so much trash.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You thought I need. I'm like, next.
Yeah, and it is possible because the thing is like the balance to those characters is they do insane amounts of damage. It's been talked about since the game came out because that was who I first started playing was Mantis because I did like the fact that I could boost my teammates and heal them with just by pressing a button instead of having to constantly heal them. But then I also had that ability to push up really quick, get a lot of headshots, do a lot of damage, and then go back if I needed to, whatever, right? And
Hmm.
it was only as time went on that I switched to more like consistent healers like C&D, Invisible, Rocket, stuff like that. So like I said though, it is nice. And like I watched like Necros like basically just carry damn near every single match as he was doing his like, you know, healer run and stuff using you know, players like Loki and Mantis and stuff, those healers that can be extremely aggressive and output a lot of damage. But like that's not going to work in every situation. Eventually he did get to a point where he had to start kind of actually falling in to the more support part of the role instead of being the aggressor. And I had the same thing when I played on my console run. It could have been because it was console, could have been because it was a new account. I haven't figured out which one yet, but I literally won every game for, I don't know, up until I got to like silver 1, and then I had a game where someone left. So we ended up losing, and my team just they weren't doing anything. So there's only so much that I could do. But outside of that, I think I got up to like diamond with like a 90-something% win rate, and I only played flex. So I never got a chance to play DPS, and I only played tank a few times. So I was carrying these games and getting MVP and winning as a support player. And I wasn't even playing the most aggressive supports. I was playing Invisible Woman and like Cloak and Dagger and stuff like that. So it is possible, like, you know, like to carry and stuff like that when you're playing against people that aren't really like on the same level as you. But once you get up to that point where people are on the same level, like in my lobbies, I have to really balance out and know when to be aggressive as a support versus like going into actually just being a support and healing and stuff. Because if I get out of position for even a second, they're going to fully take advantage of that and just decimate me before I can even react or anybody else can. Like I said, so it's very situational, you know. How you can like handle stuff like that. But even with Necros, even after like 40 wins or something like that and like 25 MVPs, he eventually got to the point where he was like EOMM and all this other stuff, right? So I mean, like eventually the game is gonna get you to that point. It's just, you know, maybe 40 games, it may be 1,000, maybe 5, but you know, everybody's gonna get there eventually. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I don't know. I love support now. Um, I just know, and I think you understand where I'm coming from, where it's just like you healing a team and they're not doing or playing how you think they should be doing, and it's just like,
Mhm.
can one of y'all heal so we can push up? I remember I was playing Cloak and Dagger, and the Magneto was just behind the supports. And I'm like, can you switch to healer so I can switch to Emma and we can get this point? Like we had 3 supports and Magneto would not push up.
Scary.
I'm like, why are you back here? We literally and I'm like, here they come. Now they gonna kill all of us and you running.
Imagine being a tank and being afraid.
I know.
Brother, you have 3
what's really
times the
going
amount of health
on?
as anyone else, and more than likely some type of main shield or an
Exactly.
over shield.
And then that's another thing I want to bring up, right? No matter what you do, there'll always be like, okay, well, it's just this. It's just like, for instance, like if I'm got a busy day at work and I just want to get my dailies out the way, and I just go in some practice matches, and people are just playing any type of way in practice. And they'll be like, oh, well, it's just practice. Okay, well, then you go and click quick match. Oh, well, it's just quick match. And then it's like you go and rank. Oh, well, it's just this rank. Like they always find an excuse as to why they're playing like weird. Like you're like, oh well, it's just a gold lobby, and
Yeah.
it's like, but you okay? Then we in platinum. Well, it's not GM. It's like, oh okay,
Yeah, it's just
I'm done. I'm
overall
done.
it's just a game, right? It's only when they're losing, but if they're winning, it'd be like, oh, you're
Exactly.
trash, uninstall.
Yeah, I'm like y'all in practice matches playing like trash. Like what are y'all practicing?
Yeah, and
Like
like,
you like fake compositions. Like y'all don't. Nobody wants to play tank. We can't. No, even if somebody wanted to learn healer, or somebody wanted to learn like a tank, they can't even learn tank properly in practice because y'all all playing DPS. They not getting the proper healing. Like what are they learning?
yeah.
You know.
No, and you know, I get it because it's like I said, I get it from both sides. You know, I do understand that there are some people that's all they want to do is just play quick play, and for me, quick play is something I've never taken seriously. Whether it's Call of Duty, this game, I don't care what it is. If there's a quick mode, there's no repercussions for losing. It's just kind of like your pride if you didn't want to lose or whatever. And the thing is that especially in a game like this, you have to learn how to use these characters in real situations. And there's some people that they feel like, well, you have to do that in ranked because you're not really getting the full ranked experience, so you're not learning as much. And I'm like I said, there's so many different people that have different ways that they feel about it, and I kind of like, I'm sympathetic to all of the people and how they feel, it's just for me personally. If I want to learn a character, I'm going to take them into quick play. Now, like I said, sometimes I do make the exception. If we're getting decimated too bad and I realize it's because nobody picked a healer or whatever, toward the end of the match, I will switch just to change the tide and win if we can, or whatever the case is. But sometimes it's like there's 5 other people here. If one of y'all didn't want to switch to something else, or you're all choosing to play characters that you're bad at, or your character is dependent upon someone else's team up or their abilities or whatever, it's hard for me to feel bad for you, right? But if I do see people making switches from the character they picked to try to win, then a lot of times I will as well, because it's like, oh well, the game will probably be over in 7 or 8 minutes, so it's not that deep. But like I said, if you are trying to learn a character, though, now I am curious, do you get like points toward Lord and stuff like that when you play practice versus AI? Is that a thing? Do you know?
Oh no.
No, you don't.
Hell, it would be so many lords.
Yeah, more than likely.
Some people just sit in practice. Some people just sit in practice. I went to this one person's profile. They didn't have no nothing. Like I'm like, because they don't even go, practice matches don't even go towards your like stats or anything.
Oh wow.
The only thing that you get from that is like experience points, and I think they cut them down into like a fourth of what you would get in like quick play and comp.
Yeah, I've only ever played like 2 or 3 matches. I was the other day I was playing some with Mace because she hadn't played like in a month or so. She's one of the mods on Discord, and I was just playing with her just because she was sitting there by herself. I think we were already in a call talking about something, and I was like, well, while I get on, I might as well warm up with you, because she said she was only going to play a couple, and then she would go into quick play. That's what it was. I was doing the challenges for the other stuff, and I didn't know how to play Magneto, so I was like, whatever, I might as well try out this practice versus AI, get the controls of Magneto, and then I'll take them into some quick play with you. But yeah, no, that's the only time I've ever played practice versus AI, because I didn't think that it contributed toward anything, and it's just, I don't know, I've never been like a play against AI because I just don't feel like I'm learning anything. But some of those AI, it's funny, they're actually better than some of the people that I see in quick play, whether it be my own teammates or the enemy sometimes.
I swear, I think that they put some of these AIs in these matches.
Yeah, they do. That's a fact. I've seen actual AI that literally have to run in the same like direction the same way every time and do particular things. Now I do think they evolve over time, but I've definitely seen stuff where I'm like, there's no way that's a human being. There's no way.
And they put them on hard, because the hard AI are actually like pretty difficult. And they're an AI because you can like, sometimes you be in a match with all AIs, because you go and look at your history and try to click on all their profiles and they're all private. Like every single one. You can't look at any of their profiles on any team.
I think they do that to keep people, that kind of goes into the whole EOMM thing, is like, these companies understand individuals based off of like their personal like profile and stats and stuff like that. And they know that a lot of people, when they get on a game and they just get absolutely decimated, they're going to go, hey, you know what? I'm getting off this. I'm going to go play that new Zelda game that I got that I didn't play, or Mario Kart or whatever, right? Where I can get away from just all of this and just actually relax. And they're like, hey, instead of them leaving the game, because if they leave the game, that's less likely they're going to spend money on something or whatever, stats for us or whatever at the end of the year. Let's just throw them a couple of wins, and we'll turn up the bots to make them seem like they're really good for a second. But then and that's something that's interesting, because I was reading about there was like the developer who had created a game for like Sega Genesis. I think it was like the Aladdin game or something for Sega Genesis when I was a kid. And he was just talking about how games, they were designed to purposely seem like they were like hard at first, like while you're trying to do something, and then toward the end you didn't realize it, but you were actually taking less damage as your health got like to a certain point, on purpose, to make it seem like, oh man, I beat this and I only had like 2 or 3 HP left or whatever, but really they had just cut the damage into like a quarter or something, right? So of what you would have been taking initially when you were first losing that health. And they were just saying how like things like that just add to the intensity of a game, and how people feel that much more rewarded, and the dopamine rush that you get after the fact. And to me, it's like they were doing that when I was a kid back in the 90s. So I can only imagine what kind of stuff that they put in regards to like manipulation to the game nowadays. Is that what's happening all the time? No, probably more than likely not. But like I said, there are a lot of people that come in my comment section that say the same thing. They're like, if I lose 2 matches, I get off. So I do think there's a separate algorithm for them where it's like, all right, this guy is, or not separate algorithm, but the algorithm will dictate, okay, look, we know this guy just lost his last match and he lost it horribly. He's only going to play one more and he's going to get off. So let's just throw him a couple of wins, make him feel better about himself, and then we'll throw him back in with the Wolves. It's like, they know exactly how much each person can take. And they know with me, it's like I said, I'm the kind of person where I refuse to quit. It's like, okay, I lost that one. All right, well, I'm just going to come back stronger the next time. And then it's like 8 losses later.
Keep you with the Wolves. They just keep you with the Wolves.
They're like, this guy's cool. He's chill. He doesn't mind losing and trying to carry every single match and stuff like that. So he's cool. But like I said, the next guy, though, they go, oh, no, Joe Blow, yeah, he's a quitter. He's going to quit like the second that he faces any form of adversity. So let's make it a little bit softer for him, his experience and stuff. And like I said, I've seen it firsthand with other games as well. They don't necessarily use EOMM, but like Call of Duty uses skill-based matchmaking. And I have friends who play in completely different lobbies than my own, where I'm pretty sure half of those people were bots. And now they've gotten to the point where they've made a whole playlist for it called Warzone like Casual, where it's mostly like maybe like 90% bots, and then the other 10% is real players, right? And that way people can load in, they get to feel like they're playing Warzone experience, but they're actually just playing against a bunch of bots. And people know that this is the case, and they don't care. They're just like you were saying about people that like to play against AI. And I hear people in the comments or see people in the comments all the time that say, I literally only play AI matches because I just don't want to deal with other people's toxicity. I don't want to deal with people like Spider-Man swinging around, beating the hell out of me and all that kind of stuff. And, I don't have an issue with that because that's just less people that are going to be on my team that are going to sell, right? Like, or just whatever.
Yeah. I mean, because you can still have this, well, quote unquote, the same experience like in the game. Like you want to play a hero shooter, you want to kill some people as your favorite hero, so you just go against AI.
Yeah.
Fine.
Whatever. Yeah, I don't.
But don't say you're better, than somebody's out there in the field. You might be though. You might be, but we'll never know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. That just kind of goes back to what you were saying, like in regards to when you're talking about rank, doesn't necessarily mean that you're better just because you play rank. There are people who play rank every day that are in my server that admit it, and this isn't to put anybody down. It's just a fact. They have said themselves they are hard stuck in bronze, right? And what does that mean? Just because you play rank all day that you're better than people that don't play rank. There are a lot of people, like you said, that more than likely don't play rank that could end up being like GMs or Celestials and stuff like that. They just choose to not play, or maybe they don't play because they only play with their friends and their friends don't play ranked, or maybe they're on different platforms so they physically cannot play ranked or whatever. So there's a lot of different reasons. And like I said, Aiki Kana, one of the ladies in the server, she is I would say she's easily GM or better as a support player. And she just doesn't play rank. She doesn't want people to talk to her crazy or whatever the case is. So she just doesn't do it. And
there's a group of people who will call her quote unquote trash because she isn't ranked. I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. If we have a 1-on-1, if there was a such thing as a 1-on-1, you would get demolished. Don't get it twisted because you choose to click rank and play that you're the best player. Because like I said, people have been playing rank. Some people have been playing rank since December and they can't get out of platinum.
Yeah.
So what does that account for? Like, you think you're a good player? Because again, I'll get to gold, and the only reason I play is to get to gold, to get the rewards. If it wasn't for the rewards, I probably would not have ever played rank. Right? But when I play it, I'm skating through it. I'm like, if all my quick play matches that I played, if those are ranked, I would probably be at GM. I just don't like that whole competitive nature because I think, like I told you earlier, I'm naturally competitive, and I'm just like, oh, I'm so frustrated. And this is a team dependent game, so even if you're playing your perfect game, you can still lose. So it's just like.
No, and you're
but I did
right.
tell myself.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to add to that and say that, like, I've been stuck on plat, but the thing is that I only play with one account. most people will play with another account. And that's why I think it's interesting. I think that I am, maybe even today, I might make an alt account to see if I have the same exact effect that I had on console. Because, like I said, on console, I was able to get to diamond in like 3 days, and then I just stopped because that was the point of the video, was to see how long it would take me to either get to my current rank or surpass it on a console, to kind of see if like I felt like it was easier or harder or whatever. And like I said, it took me 3 days. I don't even have 10 hours probably on that account, and it was no issue to surpass the same rank that I've been stuck at since the game came out. So there's either two things: either console lobbies are easier than PC lobbies, or it's just that when you make new accounts, they easily allow you to surpass. But I do think it has something to do with newer accounts as well, simply because
But
most of
I
the
think it could
people.
be a third thing too.
What's that?
I think it could be because like when I was telling you, like I play with controller on PC, but
Hmm.
I literally like customize all of my controller settings for each hero that I love.
Hmm.
I think that console players don't do that. And a lot of them are not probably not aiming that well because
Hmm.
they're like not, they're playing characters that require aim, but then they
Hmm.
didn't like change the sensitivity on their settings for that particular character.
One thing I did
Um,
notice was, just to add in really quick, that I did not see a lot of the same players, like, or no, sorry, characters that I see on PC. For example, Hawkeye's, Hellas,
see?
Luna's as support. So any character that really requires you to actually be able to aim well, I did not see that on PC. It was really rare. I can
And
count on
that's
one
what it
hand how
is.
many of those all together that I saw throughout the whole run. And they all were terrible. They were not like the ones on PC. They're hitting every single shot and making me fear for my life. Like, no. So I think that is a good point that you're making.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Because, like I said, like it's certain things. Like I did something in my settings one day, and I hit like restore to default, thinking it was just for that one section, but it restored all of my hero settings. I was like, I'm done with this game. I
Yeah.
literally I literally had to go back through every character and find that sensitivity for it, because I can't do the same things that I normally would do on Magic with the default settings.
Oh
Same
no,
thing with
no.
Emma, and I'm just like, so I get it. I think that a lot of PC players are playing with keyboard and mouse,
Hmm.
and they've been playing since probably since birth,
Yeah,
like aiming,
yeah.
like so
But it is funny though,
consoles
because
are
it
different.
kind of goes one way or the other, kind of like how people talk about Spider-Mans or Mantis or whatever. It kind of goes one way or the other, because clearly all day long I dumpster on people that are playing on keyboard and mouse and feel like they're goated. And if they knew that I was playing on a controller, they'd probably feel so like depressed and offended and stuff, right? But
Yeah.
it works both ways. Like I said, there are some times where I see people and I'm like, is bro cheating? And then I have to go back through the replay just to make sure I'm not crazy. And it's like, okay, he did miss a couple of shots. He's just really, really good, right? And there's still ways to like beat people that have really good aim. Sometimes you just have to like catch them off guard, or use things that maybe if they, let's say they're playing hell and they have really good aim. It's like, okay, well I just got to get close to the tank, or something like that, right? Or use a support and like a cloak and dagger and like blind them and then put a bubble around myself so that even when they hit their shots, I'll be able to kill them quicker than they can kill me. You get what I'm saying? Like there's certain little things I've learned to kind of counter that and stuff. But for the most part, no, like it is very frustrating. And I will say that Marvel Rivals actually has probably one of the best that I've ever seen personally, as far as being able to adjust every single thing in regards to controller and stuff. I just recently found out about dual S curve, which allows you to have different sensitivities based upon how you're using your stick. Like when you first tap it, you have like that normal sensitivity, but then when you go all the way out, it has like 500 times, so you can do like quick 180s and stuff like that. The same thing with aim assist, and how you can completely control your aim assist. You can make it whatever percentage of the screen that you want to make it. Just there's so many different options and stuff to where most games don't even have that. They just have a very basic aim assist on, aim assist off. Like kind of like that's how Call of Duty is now. They literally have just either on or off. Everybody has the same aim assist settings, right? There is no like tweaking it and all of that. So
Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, I do really like that, and I think that you're right. Though I think most people on console are just very casual, and you do have some people that play console that are extremely competitive. A lot of them are on Discord. They play every day. They're competitive and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, the only way that I'm going to be able to fully test it is if I make a new account on my PC, and within 3 to 4 days, I'm just able to, with a 90+% win rate, surpass it. So I might actually just do that today, to be honest with you. Once I get done
You
with
know what?
this,
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's gonna be the same.
you think so?
Yeah, because I really think that's what it is. I think that like for me when I the first thing I'm gonna commit to a hero, right? The first thing I'll do is before I even go look at like guides on how to play them, I'll go look on best controller settings for this hero, Marvel
Oh no,
Rivals,
no,
in
you're exactly right.
YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'll try to mimic, see what it feels good, blah blah blah. And I think that a lot of, and I'm not saying nothing against console players, but I think that a lot of them don't even think to do that.
Yeah.
And they just go and they just play and they just have fun.
Yeah. I
But if they
mean,
did it,
go ahead. I'm
you
sorry.
know,
No, no, go ahead.
no, if they did it, they probably would be like everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing though, is that like a lot of games don't have this level of intricacy in the settings for stuff. Like I said, Call of Duty is very
Hmm.
simple. It's like you play on a simple setting, like what people say, what's your sense? And it's like play on horizontal 7 and maybe vertical, like I'm sorry, yeah, vertical like 5 or something like that, right? And it's just that simple. And there used to be 4 different aim assist settings, but that was it. You just clicked a box. It wasn't like you could go in and change anything. So people would say, what do you play on, linear or extended or whatever it was, right? And like I said, there was only 4 options, but then they took that away because people, too many controller player, I'm sorry, keyboard and mouse players complained about aim assist. So they took that away. And now since Black Ops 6 has been out, they only have an on or off switch for aim assist. There is nothing. So it's like you don't have to worry about making some detailed, stuff. And it's not like there's characters. So whatever your settings are, that's just what they are. It's not like you need to individually. But I had to like
Right.
learn that immediately when I started playing characters like Spider-Man and stuff. It was like, okay, I need to be able to turn around and pull people off of ledges and cliffs and stuff like that. The same thing like when you're swinging around and stuff, you need to be able to have very high sensitivity. And then I was like, oh, what's all this stuff in here do? What's this thing do? What's this thing do? And then that's when I kind of realized, like, oh man, I could really go in depth with every character, and every character is different. Like with Thor, I don't need super high sensitivity. I'm just flying up to people and beating the hell out of them with a hammer, right? But like same thing with like a lot of healers. A lot of times I'm just looking in like straight in front of me, and everybody is in front of me, so I don't need the same sensitivity with Spider-Man. No, it's like I need like the ultra cracked out settings, right? So completely different. But yeah, so. But Giselle, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up here in a minute. Is there anything else that you want to add or anything like that? Is there anything you want to plug or anything? Any social media content, anything like that?
Well, the only thing I wanted to say was shout out to your sponsor
Oh yeah.
that you were promoting because I wasn't gonna get like the Emma skin. I was just like I didn't like her hair. I like the outfit. I didn't like the hair in that black outfit. And then when you promoted the your sponsor, I was like, let me check it out. And it was so cheap. So I got the Emma one and I got the Ultron one from I forget what the website's called, but I got both of those. I think it was maybe like
U4GM. You talking about?
yeah, 4GM. Um and I think I spent like 16, 15, $16 and they would have been like maybe like 30
Oh
if
wow.
I would have bought it in games. So
Well, my
yeah,
sponsor will
shout out to them.
definitely love that because there's a lot of people every day that come in the Discord. They're like, "Does anybody know if this site works?" And I have had a few people that have done it, but I still get those people that are like, "Oh, I don't know. It's not the official site, and I don't trust them." So I think the sponsors will definitely like hearing that. That somebody put it in a video and actually said they had a great experience with them. But besides that, do you have any thing else like for yourself that you'd like to promote?
No, I'm not a content creator.
No,
I
you're not.
just no, I just enjoy playing casually and I enjoy watching YouTube videos like yourself and
Oh well, thank you.
listen to controversy and leaks and
No, I'm right there
balance
with you.
changes. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
Thank you for
So
having me.
yeah, but just to make sure really quick, there's no other points that you wanted to add or anything that you thought of while we've been talking.
Um, let me think. I just want to give some advice. Um, don't listen to these creators. If you do listen to them with a grain of salt. Because at the end of the day, if they nerf Squirrel Girl, if they nerf Doctor Strange, whoever, and it still works for you, play that hero. Simple as that. If you can make it work, make it work. If you want to lord this character, lord this character. And for new players and even OG players, you can be a flex player, but don't be bullied into being one.
Okay, I think
That's
that's
it.
pretty good advice. I agree with that. Well,
Yeah,
Giselle?
because people will literally bully you into like, go heal. We're not healing.
Yeah,
Then nobody's healing.
Exactly. No, like I said, I think that's very good advice. I agree with that. I try to tell people all the time, like, do not sit here and even though I'm a content creator, do not listen to everything that I say. If I say that I don't like this character or they're not that good, I said that Ultron was kind of mid to me, but other people like him and he works for him. Hey, go do your thing, man. We're just people. We don't know everything. We put our pants
Yeah,
on
no,
one.
no, and no offense to no creators. I'm
Mm,
just saying a lot of people can't think for themselves when they wake up. So
hmm
they literally go and listen to somebody else's opinion to form theirs.
Yeah,
So I'm
unfortunately,
like,
that
oh,
that couldn't be true. Unfortunately, I try as hard as I can to get people to think for themselves and encourage it. So I don't want a bunch of mindless sheep just following everything that I say. So I usually try to get other people to talk about what they like and talk it out with them and stuff. So but Giselle, it was nice talking to you, and we're honored to have you and you giving us your thoughts and views on the game and stuff like that.
thank you. I know I was rambling, but thank you.
No, that's fine. People, you've been in videos before, but for the people that are hearing you for the first time, you want to introduce yourself, Mace?
Yeah, hi, I'm Mace. I'm moderator in Dark Server, and I'm a player of Marvel Rivals. That's where we met as well. And currently, I'm on a break.
Okay. Would you like to tell us why exactly you're on a break currently?
Yeah, it kind of was a process that I've been through without actually really actively doing it. It was more like that I've been playing a lot of quick matches on my own all the time, up to the point where I found a community and started to play with people. But there it was already like kind of too late, to be honest. Because I started the game enjoying it really. I tried different strategist class as well, and I really got the hang of Cloak and Dagger and Invisible Woman mainly. But also I figured even in quick matches, the toxicity is really high already, and I played ranked up to Platinum 1, and then I didn't stop. Not because I felt like I reached my skill cap or something, but because I felt like the higher I get, the more toxicity there is, and I tried hard really, and tried to give my best, and always I had people acting up when something was not perfect while they didn't play it perfect either. And I was like, okay, I'm playing this game in my free time to actually chill, and found that it's more stressing than my work.
And
Yeah.
so you let's go back a little bit. So you said that you were doing strategist. Now I know you said Invisible Woman and Cloak and Dagger, but didn't you also say that you had gotten? Or was it you that said you got every strategist lord? Was that you?
Yeah. I played Cloak and Dagger until I was really, really tired of the skill kit. Same was with Invisible Woman, so you can say that those are my main healers. But then I felt like I'm wanting to learn all the other strategies as well, so I know the kits, and I got lords on every character. But lord, literally for me, is showing that you have played a character for 20 hours. You basically know what the skill kit is, what the skills do, and you know how to react on most of the attacks or CCs that you have coming in from enemy team. But it doesn't necessarily mean you are good at it. That's my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I think a lot of people share that opinion about lords. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're goaded. It just means you put enough time and energy into it. So this video originally was supposed to be, you had brought it to my attention. You said that one of the better players in the server, probably one of the best strategists that we have in our server, Aiki Kana, doesn't play ranked simply because you said that she feels like there would be a lot of toxicity toward her. I don't know if you said that she has dealt with a lot of it or she just felt like a lot of people would judge her or get onto her, whatever the case was. But that was kind of like the original direction of the video. But then she didn't feel comfortable being in the video, so I ended up getting you to talk about it. But you were just telling me a moment ago, you were saying that you were talking about in regards to like the game and the toxicity and stuff, and it's not so much that you feel like it's like directed at you or anyone else because that they're a woman or whatever the case is. You're just kind of saying that there's just a lot of toxicity in general. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, okay. So Yakikana and me used to play the quick matches, and I actually wanted to play ranked with her, even though my ping on American servers is at least 130 milliseconds. But we went ranked, and we had a Jeff player actually announcing out of nowhere, without even get offended or anything, that he's going to throw the game. And he started off in the first game straight to swallow the own team with the enemy team together. He spit out the enemies on the point and threw us as a team into death. So basically, he didn't do it once, where you could have assumed, well, maybe he's a new player or something. He just did it twice. And he did it on very important moments just before the game ended and when it was close, so we actually lost that game. And Yuki kind of apologized for him feeling bad and saying she would not go ranked anymore. And I think she stick to that ever since. It's weeks now that it has happened. And then I played ranked on my own. And when we spoke about the subject, you and me, I was like, yes, I had situations where I felt disrespected as a woman because I'm someone who tries to fix situations and games that are going bad in ranked as well in quick matches often by counterpicking. So if I have a Cloak and Dagger, for example, and they have a very strong Magneto and he's ulting on me just by the moment when I end my ult, so I die, and we actually lose the game because in like very important moments when I need to support it as a support, I'm dead. I just swap to something else like Invisible Woman where I can get out of the situation a lot easier. And then we had ranked games where I actually used the VC a lot when it went wrong. We lost the first game out of 3 matches, for example. And I put my thoughts and said, okay, maybe we don't need a second tank here because we had a very strong slow tank that sticks to the group, and he actually did a really good job. But I thought maybe like Loki is not a good heal pick, or Raccoon would not be a good heal pick for burst heals because they had a high DPS enemy team. That's when I had people who actually told me to shut up, or like worse things that I don't want to mention here. But I had one situation, I mentioned it in the last video we made already, when one of these guys went in like a kind of sexual direction to actually put me down and say something really, really degrading about women and what he wants to do to a woman. And I was like, okay, just thank you for that comment. I'm currently streaming on Twitch. And he was like, oh, are you really? And I was like, yeah. So he just went silent, like ultra silent. He didn't say a single word anymore. And it was not even text chat, it was VC. But after the end, he asked me for the Twitch link, and I was posting it. He actually checked and saw, oh, shoot, I was really on Twitch. And then he started to keep going in the chat there. Sorry, I can't do anything much more than ignore those people, because as you said in one of these videos or in the chat, there's no better way to actually show people that you never had real contact to real woman than behaving like this. It's just, and the next thing is, I'm even a little bit older than you, Dark, so the majority of the players could be my son, you know? So when they talk to me like that, I literally feel like I'm in the wrong game, or I might be stopping or should stop playing games at all. But on the other hand, I enjoy it too much. Most of the times after work, just chill and come down and play a few matches. But kind of got lost due to the fact that it was so much toxicity, but toxicity in general. And the problem is working in my area with his social, very social, and in healthcare. It's exhausting at work anyways. Then you come home and you want to chill, and then you have all these people who are never reflecting on themselves, but not playing like a pro either. And as soon as something goes wrong, they lose the game. Like an automatic program in their brain start to search someone that must be blamed for the loss. You know, that's what I feel like. And then they do it, and then there is the most ridiculous conversations in the chat. If it's during the matches when you have 3 rounds and you are changing from one game to the next game, or after a game entirely, that people are going into discussions and conversations for hours in the chat when it's already over. For me, it is that I'm seeing this. I'm sometimes not even involved, as in they are going towards me, they're going towards someone else. I try to defend other people when I see like clearly it's not their fault, or I just say something else to chill the situation because it's just me. I'm um, trying to relax in this game and make people relax as well. But you have the problem that actually this is making people like me tired, you know? I'm not at the age anymore where I need drama and need um, people to mess up my life, to actually have something happening. My life is full of happenings all day, and I'm coming home and I want to chill and I want to be left in peace. And I lost that over time pretty slowly. It's not like I was constantly upset with the game or the chat because I never let it. I'm pretty based with my feelings most of the time. So for me, it is when someone gets me upset, I give him control over me. And I started to do that. I stopped to do that years ago, to give someone else power over me, controlling me by the way how they speak to me or how they act. Do I get mad sometimes? Yeah, of course. People always get me mad when something goes wrong, but I don't actually act in these moments. I try to not speak in these moments, and most of I'm not showing people in these moments how much I got mad because this is something I'm sorting out with myself. But it works, you know. I'm a human, so if I'm getting angry about things when actually someone is calling me out for causing a lose, if it's up to me because I played super bad, let's say like now I'm coming back after a month of gaming pause, and I'm playing the game and I see, well, I'm doing a super bad job as a healer because I don't know the new Ultron skills. I don't know other things yet which came like the new Jeff kit or the Storm and Jeff ult, and I don't know how to react with it and don't know how to counter it with it. And I see I'm dying a lot more than the other healer who constantly plays. I can play myself and then I get angry at myself, and I have to control myself to not say something towards others. So it's not like I'm seeing only toxicity, but I'm feeling being angry at myself because I really try to do my best, but I I just am full of mistakes like everyone. So when I haven't played for a while, my aim is completely gone. My movement is gone. My placement is gone. Like literally, I feel like I start the game completely fresh. And then I have like this tone in my voice when I get angry at myself that could actually make others think that I'm angry at them. So when I even when I tried in a break now and I did quick matches or customs with our guys, I felt like I play so bad and I would have to get used to it again and play on a daily basis again to actually get back to my former shape. And as I don't want to do it because it wears me much more down than it actually gets me up after work, like the game as a whole, I'm just completely sticking to my other stuff that I play and chill there. And which is on the other hand really sad because the guys are there, they are doing the customs, they are asking for me to join, especially the friends that I've made on the server, and they miss me, of course. But I'm kind of this extreme person, and you can see it with the other game I'm playing right now as well. You see how much I play it and how dedicated I am at it, you know? So I can only do one thing by the time, play one game like really dedicated or not at all. That's just me. And when I think about Marvels, going back to Marvels, all I think is, nah, I'm not going back to toxicity. It's just the game itself, like the type of the game we are playing. Competitive games I have played in the past as well. Not shooters at all, and not hero shooters at all, how we have in Marvel Rivals. But the competitive games are the most toxic in general, in my opinion, for a reason, because the people out there are competitive. They wouldn't play the game if they weren't. But also the ego, their egos is something else. Like they have so huge egos, especially when they are bad players, as in they have a lot of mistakes going for the kills more for the than for the goal of the game, actually to move the vehicle, for example. And then at the end of the game, they maybe show as MVP on the statistics, but the game is lost, and they wonder why, because they did so much kills and they carried, and or they are SVP if you lose, you know. So they think they carried, but at the end of the day, they did a lot of kills, but the wrong kills, and they killed some unimportant stuff in their backline, while we got like farmed by their DPS, for example, as a healer, you know, and that happens in the entire game. So at the end of the game, they can say, "Oh yeah, we killed their healers, and we killed this and that," but they actually did not push on the right moment, in the right moment on the vehicle, or they just let you down, so you get frustrated as a healer. There's so much things that can happen from the start of the game to the end of the game that can actually make the game throw, and you don't see it in the statistics, but the statistics make people feel that they are a good player, while the good gamers are actually have game sense and they see what the real issue in a game is. You know, they look at the situations, they watch replays, they see what actually might be the reason why you are losing a game. So if it's like a tank that is not pushing up the right moments, that is playing too passively, and you can't move forward fast enough, or at the end of the game when you move a hit vehicle is too afraid to push into rooms where there's high DPS because he lost trust in the healers during the games, and he's like, oh no, I don't want to be the tank with the most deaths and the least kills, and that's why you can't finish the game, or you have DPS not bringing enough kills, or just roaming around all the time, while you actually need the DPS with your team because um, you get dived or attacked a lot, and you have not enough DPS to push them back when you have a captain, for example. And it's not even that I need a DPS sometimes in the backline to kill everything around me. It's just enough if you have a Scarlet Witch even, and you got a Psylocke constantly harassing you. It helps so much more if you just have the Scarlet around every now and then attacking the Psylocke, so they play a lot more defensive. But people don't see that. They just see their kill numbers on the board, and if you have a good healer that actually held while he was on 30 health points, and you have a team that pings heals all the time, like need healing, and you heal and heal and heal, and they complain about not getting enough heals while you get attacked on the backline and so you have 60 HP, you know, and then the game is over, and they were healed as much as you could and you did your best, but they blame you for not healing enough, while they didn't see or don't see that they actually could have and must have helped you to actually be able to do your job, because it's not like when you play with randoms, especially with 5 randoms, and you don't have a team healer with you that actually patty cakes you in high DPS situations to keep you alive. They don't see that you are struggling most of the time, and the healers in my games mostly have the lowest health. Why is that? You know? Why is that? Because in Devs Talk, Volume 13, they said, guys, we lowered the power of healers to actually make the teamwork improve. You have to protect your healers because they now need your protections. And therefore, in order you get more heals, like Cloak and Dagger heal, like an auto heal, it was 16, then it got nerfed to 10, and after they figured in season 2, when the dive came out, that they need to raise the DPS on the auto heals again, while leaving the heals as it is, because Cloak and Dagger couldn't defend themselves enough against divers. We had like a lot of magics, a lot of Spider-Mans and Punters and whatsoever. And so they changed the skill 3 times when I saw it right. just because of the fact that people never were able to start to communicate and play the game as a team, even if they are not used to play together. There is literally no sync in the game. They come in the game, they don't communicate. Like I'm in Metal Ranks, that's all right for me, and I don't want to be in Celestia or something. That was never my goal. I just want to play the game to enjoy. Do I want to get better? Of course. But it's not like I want to play the game like a pro gamer or like someone who earns money with the game, you know? And you actually can do that, which is a good thing. And still, if I play the game, I'm looking on my own gameplay more than anything else. If I get mad, I'm getting mad more than anything else on myself because I did major mistakes that I see while they are happening. And I'm just in such a bad situation that I can't change it because I used, for example, on Cloak and Dagger, the skill that I would have needed to actually counter an ult on me, for example, when Magneto hits me. Or that I see afterwards when something really bugs me and I watched a review. And that's how I improved from someone who started the game as a strategist with a wholesome 9% accuracy on Mantis. Who plays regularly a Mantis with like around about 30% accuracy right now, which is okay. If I look into the high elo Mantis players, they are around 30, 33. But after the Mantis nerf, another character that I really like to play got nerfed so hard. She has now 250, then 275 health points. Her hitbox is really slow. Of course, she can buff herself in terms of power, but it's not healing herself. And every so often, you can play Mantis only if you have one tank and another strong healer, and the rest is DPS, because in the other side, Mantis heal output is not enough. And because of that, from season 2, I rapidly lost the urge and will to play the game. One by one, they nerfed characters that I really, really like to play and actually didn't change the team play as a whole. They try to, which is, in my opinion, a very good thing, but you can't make a community like this in competitive games stop trying to push the blame for loss away from themselves to someone else. And then they do it in a way where I think, dude, life needs to humble you, you know? If you have like 40 years like me and you've seen a lot of things and have had a lot of things happening in your life, we yesterday spoke about it on the server as well. When I was in a personal call, we spoke about very serious things in your life. And I try to prepare for today and for the video and what I want to say. And one of the things I really want to say, the difference why you get tired with these subjects is kids, mostly kids or very young people that have no problems in their life and never experienced real issues in their lives, but they are coming online, they take the game so serious as if their life depends on it, and then they spew all their toxicity into the game, which actually is supposed to make you have fun and just have a good time. And yeah, I think that's like the worst part for me as well, that like the age difference between them and me is so huge. And that I could tell you stories what happened in my life, like probably everyone, but what actually made me change the view on things so much. And then I'm sitting here and playing the game. Like I need a spot where I can vent from my work, you know? I need a spot where I can chill from my work, especially when it was a hard day. Maybe I was angry, you know? It's actually kind of like a spot where I can relax, where I can just, yeah, get out some frustration as well in terms of being happy if you get a kill, for example, but it's not like venting as in I need to spew all my boiled up anger into the game because no one in the game who's actually playing with me is in responsibility of me getting angry about something. If I get angry about something, it's my responsibility because I let make I let people make me angry, you know? It's not like you made me angry. No, I let people make me angry. And I think that's a general thing how I view human behavior, and how I associate anger with people.
Yeah,
But maybe that's,
my dad, not to
sorry.
cut you off, just to add something in, my dad used to say that to me all the time. He used to, when I was younger, he used to tell me that I allowed people to push my buttons, and he used to sit there and like literally act out the little like there was a board in front of him with a bunch of buttons, and he was like, somebody pushes this, you do this, and he'd like raise a hand or something. Somebody pushes this, you do this, and he'd like make a kicking motion or something. And a lot of times he used to use like the example of my younger my sister is all my kids, all my dad's kids are 10 years apart, so I have a younger sister, and obviously when I was 10 she was very young, and then as I got into teenage years she was just like slightly outside of toddler age. But she used to do typical little sibling stuff to irritate me and to troll me and all that kind of stuff. And he used to always tell me, he's like, are you gonna let a child like get you to that level, like, and be smarter than you, basically? Like, if you at your age, if you can't figure out how to outsmart that child, that seems like more of a you issue, right? And that's kind of how I look at it nowadays with a lot of this stuff. And I think that being a content creator has taught me a lot in how I deal with people, because before there was no consequence for if someone like said something to me. I could just turn back around and be like, oh, really? That's where you want to go? And I would just make sure that, like, if they said something hurtful to me, I would make sure that I said something 3 times as hurtful back to them, right? Whereas now I can't do that. Kind of like how I talk to you a lot about, like, if you're at work and someone, like, let's say you work in a store and somebody comes in and says something crazy to you, they're allowed to like say crazy stuff to you, but you can't say anything crazy back to them, though. You know what I mean? Because then you would be in the wrong. Like, worst case for them, they're just not allowed in that store if they really, really get out of hand. But worst case for you is that you lose your job, right? And one is way worse than the other one, so it's kind of like the same thing. I've had to learn how to just take a deep breath and go, I'm not going to allow this person to be in control of my emotions and my feelings and stuff. But I'm fully aware that not everyone has that same type of mental kind of durability to where they're able to have stuff like that happen to them and then just kind of like walk it off, or take a deep breath, whatever. I told you the other day, like, something that I do a lot of times, people will leave really crazy comments, and sometimes I type out something really crazy back to them, and then I just stare at it for a minute, and then I delete it. And it's kind of like, it gives me the same kind of mental relief that I would have gotten if I actually did it. And they used to say that, like, about like writing notes to people. Sometimes, if you just write something out on a piece of paper and then just kind of read it back and throw it away, it gives you that same kind of, relaxation that you would have if you actually exerted that energy and told that person that particular thing. So I kind of use that same thing. But something I do find interesting about, like, the whole toxicity and talking about, like, younger people being in gaming and stuff is that I've actually read a lot of studies about why competitive games kind of like harbor such toxicity and stuff, and why the communities are the way that they are. And so, like, kind of what you were saying is that a lot of younger guys play video games. Not saying that younger women don't, especially nowadays. I feel like there's even more, or at least they're just more comfortable saying they do, or whatever the case is. But for the most part, we already know that a big demographic of games is young men, and they are really bad at controlling their emotions. Like, most of us are. When we're younger, we're all like worse at controlling our emotions. We have a lot more emotions and stuff that we're going through. We talked about that before. Like, when I remember being a teenager, and like stuff that I would laugh at nowadays, it used to seem like the biggest thing in the world. If your parents were like, oh, you can't go to this party or something because I don't know if their parents are going to be there. And you might feel like that's the end of the world, right? When in all reality, it's like, I'm going to go to a million other parties in my life. So, like, why does this one matter? But that's just kind of like how it is when you're younger. And it's kind of the same thing, like what you were saying with a lot of these young men, where they get on the game and they, not saying that there can't be young women, because I've heard some women give it as good as they get it, right? But that's not the majority, though, in my opinion. But with a lot of young men, that's kind of like how, like, they grow up with just kind of like that, oh, you can't cry about stuff, you can't get emotional about stuff. So what do you have? The only thing that you have is to verbally retaliate and, try to troll or talk down to people or whatever the case is. But, a lot of times, like you said, that gaming for them is a lot more serious than it is once you're older. When I've said, I think I said in the last video that I did, the one before that, I was just kind of saying that when people come in my comment section and say crazy stuff, or they say crazy stuff to me on the game, I just kind of laugh at it. Like, okay, when I go and open up the door to my office, like, I have a whole life outside of there. I have a family, wife, you know, kids, dog, cat, friends, all types of stuff. I'm grown. I can do whatever I want. I got disposable income. But a lot of people don't have that, you know. So to them, like, gaming is way bigger of a deal. And when they lose and stuff, or they face adversity or whatever the case is, and then you couple that with having poor control over your emotions, you know, it's kind of like a ticking time bomb in that sense. But I just kind of wanted to add that in there, though.
Exactly. When you mentioned that kids, boys and men are still raised and repeatedly reminded kind of that they are men and they should not show feelings. That's actually what I thought as well when I was talking before. Yesterday it was the same again. Like, if you have a man showing emotions, it's so crazy how in a society like today, men still think that they are not allowed to show emotions. To drag this conversation on a deeper level for a short moment, I think that might be really an issue why kids, boys, and young men, older men even, sometimes use these platforms, use these games to vent what they actually can't do in real life. I think that's really a possibility as well, why it is how it is.
No, I fully agree. I mean, I've said it numerous times. I have to just keep bringing it up because it's just really a whole completely different time. You know, the Modern Warfare 2 lobbies, anybody who was around for those that experienced those knows for a fact that that's exactly what that was. This was before there was people that were recording and making content. Now, yeah, of course there were, but this was very rare. It was not as easy back then to just like get a capture card and record from your console and upload to YouTube and all that stuff as it is nowadays. Yes, could it be done? Yes, but it just was not on the level to where now it's like literally built in. You could record a clip and then upload it with a voiceover straight from your console. You don't need a PC and all that kind of stuff. But the point I'm making is that people knew that. We knew that we had a long day at school, long day at work. For some people, it was school and work. And then in the evenings, you got on, and we knew that we were going to say stuff that nowadays would have you put on some type of government watch list, you know, whereas like back then, that was just normal. And me and my wife talk about this a lot, where I just kind of joke with her, and, you know, we talk back and forth about different things because she's a bit tougher than like the average woman. I think that has to do with like her upbringing and the fact that she grew up in a family where they played CS:GO and had gaming arcades and all kinds of stuff like that. So for her, it's a lot more normal to hear people talk junk. And even the way me and her talk to each other, we constantly, like, a way that we show affection to each other is by picking on each other, like, and cracking jokes and stuff. And it's like whoever cracks the joke the hardest, like, you know, we'll laugh, and then we're like, whatever, you know, and we just brush that off. Whereas I wouldn't have been able to do that with previous exes. They were very self-conscious, and, you know, they took everything that I would say personally. You know, like the old joke where the wife asked the husband, does she look fat in the dress that she's wearing or something? And then he's like, he knows better than to say anything other than no, honey, you know, so it's kind of like stuff like that. Right. But like I was saying, though, men, that's how we are. And the thing is like, even with being a father, I think it's very interesting because with my boys, I'm very quick to tell them, like, don't cry. And, you know, I'll say that because it's like, is there something physically wrong with you? Like, have you hurt yourself? No, you're just upset because you can't do this thing, or you haven't figured it out yet, or maybe you lost your favorite toy or whatever. Well, you're to a point to where you're not a baby anymore, so you shouldn't be crying unless there's something physically wrong with you. And sometimes I have to remember, like, that's not right. You know, it's not right to tell them that they're not allowed to cry. And the reason why I say that to them is because I'm raising them for how the world is going to treat them. You get what I'm saying? Like, when you raise your kids, eventually they're gonna grow up and they're gonna want to leave the house. They're gonna go to college. They're gonna find a wife of their own, have kids of their own. And the thing is that your kids are a reflection of you. You know, so if my kids do something, the first thing people are gonna think, just like I would if it was someone else's kids, is who raised you? And like you were saying, society really does put this kind of like overall bearing on men to where you're not allowed to do things that, like, if a woman was to do them, they're completely normal. If a woman starts crying, it's like, oh, well, that's what women do. They cry, you know, they get emotional. Like, think about it for a second. My mom, she literally says sometimes she's like, I just want to go put a good tearjerker on, meaning that she wants to go watch a movie on Lifetime or Hallmark that's really sad just so she can cry. Right? Now think about if a man says that. You're gonna be looked at as very weird. Like, what do you mean you want to go cry? Like, are you good, bro? Are you okay? You need to seek like emotional, like mental help or whatever the case is. And I feel like, you know, there's even a lot of women who I've seen who have said, oh, men should have emotions and be emotional, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll see a guy who is kind of just being a little emotional. I'm not even talking about crying, just a little emotional. And they make fun of him. So I've seen I'm not saying that's all women. I'm just saying that I have seen the double standard. I see it all the time. And what I've learned from the world is to not ever show emotion and to always kind of be like stoic as a man. And especially being a black man, I feel like I have to even be more on my guard in regards to how I act, because I feel like a lot of people, once again, not everybody, a lot of people will kind of look at you and say, oh no, is he even remotely showing any form of emotion? Let me grab my purse and get out of here, right? And it's like, no, I'm just a human being. I'm just minding my business. I'm just maybe I just stubbed my toe, and I was just like, oh damn, and people were like, oh no, is he gonna go crazy? Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's just like something that I noticed. But like I said, it's kind of like there's all these different layers to it. But I do think that's interesting though, because like I said, even being a father, there's a lot of times where I might just tell my kids, oh, you scraped your knee, oh, suck it up, walk it off, you'll be all right. And then their mom is like, honey, they're kids, right? And then she goes over there and rubs their knee, and even though there's not really that serious of a scratch, she'll put a Band-Aid on it. And I think it's good to have that balance where you do teach people to be tough and not just freak out over everything. But I do feel like with girls it's completely different, and it was no different with me. My dad, when I was a kid, he used to always be, oh, you got to be tough, don't cry, don't show your emotions, all that kind of stuff. But then with my little sister, he was completely different. It was like, oh, she's a little girl, oh, you need this, you need me to put a little Hello Kitty Band-Aid on your non-existent boo-boo or whatever. Okay, we got you, right? And that's how that's how the world acts, right? And I mean, like seriously, that's how things are. It's and I'm not saying that some of these things shouldn't be, but then some of the things, they're just double standards. And the thing about double standards is that we don't mind double standards when they benefit us. Kind of like if you think about it, like men can like if a man goes out, he has a bunch of relationships with different women. He's respected and looked at as a player and a bachelor, and oh, he's that guy. But let a woman have multiple relationships in a short period of time, we already know what they're going to say, right? So it's like in that instance, men will agree with the double standard. But then with women, I feel like women can get the sympathy card a lot more if they start crying about something. People are probably going to be quicker to believe that they're telling the truth. But I have sisters, so I've seen them literally like do crazy stuff before and then just start crying, and everybody's like, oh, poor thing. And I'm like, I know what she was just doing. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, like double standards are just that, but people tend to ignore them when they benefit them and then shine a light on them when they don't. So and I definitely think that men with emotions and all that kind of stuff is definitely one of those double standard things where it's definitely more encouraged with women, and even other women encourage other women to be that way. But then with men, let a guy come around like his guy friends and be like, bros, I just need to cry and I need some hugs and stuff. We're all going to look at him like, bro, if you don't get away from me with that nonsense, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. I think that is nothing that is going to change anytime soon, if ever, because it sometimes probably has also to do with the way how we are programmed genetically, because like women are searching for men who are able, not only by the looks, but physically and from personality and mentally, to protect a family they want to start, like that's just in the genetics. So
survival mechanism.
Yeah, they just look for men that actually appear stable, and they just see in crises and situations where everything goes wrong, how this man, going to be future husband or whatsoever, is acting in future when situations like that come up, and they judge, even if they don't want it, but they judge probably unconsciously even if this man would suit to actually start a family. I think that's just really genetically, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. For me personally, it is that because if I am a person that actually acts in crises like a man, because I have to, if it's at work, if it's in private, if it's with family, whatsoever, when something really, really serious occurs, I'm the one in the family, I'm the one at work that actually stands the ground, And
what do you mean by that? You say stand your ground. What do you mean?
In German, you're basically saying something like, you're being the beacon in the storm, you know. If
Ah,
something
okay, I
if
got you.
something
The
if
Rock.
something yeah, the rock. If something goes wrong and everything is freaking out around you, and you are the one actually standing your point and saying, "Okay, guys, this is not the time to freak out. We have to sort this. We can freak out later if you want. You can cry, you can be emotional, stuff like that. But this right situation, you can't just freak out because there's stuff to do. We need to sort this. It's urgent, you know." And that's how I think and actually act and have to be. I think like not everyone is. You can't say in general like women are more likely raised to cry or in general are crying a lot, because I think it depends also on the personality. And if you cut that out of the video, it's completely all right for me because it so goes out of hand. But yesterday we spoke about it, and I thought, um, if men could actually let their feelings happen a lot more, of course, I would wonder because it's like not a common thing. But from my experience in situations like this, if you let these feelings out, if you sometimes cry, if you have someone to lean on when you feel bad, and someone to hug you when you need it, I think that is the moment when healing is happening, you know? And yeah, I had this situation as well, but because I need to be stable when it's required for me, and I don't need to be a little girl crying and having no solutions. I need to be someone having solutions when it's just a moment to bring solutions, and that's why I just completely work different, probably. And also the personality trait to not let others control my feeling. It's nothing I was born with. If it's nothing I was raised with. Like my parents let me cry when I wanted to cry, which was not often because I actually always wanted to be like my dad. You know, my dad was always appearing strong. And that's why I kind of picked up a lot of behavior from him and how he acts on certain situations. And yeah,
Yeah.
nowadays I think like I'm just a summary of everything I was growing up and what happened to me and what I have to be nowadays and today at my job, in my private and everything. And that's why I said, if I look back at my life and what happened to me also, I had a car accident. I was 14 weeks out of everything, from being a super fit young woman going to party every weekend and having a lot of friends to someone who's sitting in a wheelchair and being out of life completely for 14 weeks. I had to fight back into a halfway normal life for over a year. I had 7 surgeries, and there's so much stuff that happened actually. And then I sit here and having like little kids, for me in my terms, when they sit there with 15 years and they want to tell you how the world works and what bad person you are because you are playing a game and you are not like a 13 years old crack that actually has nothing better to do than play 24/7 a game, you know. And I think that's like just a big gap between them and me that actually makes me bounce back and say, okay, the majority of the players are half my age. They have not my experience. They don't nearly have my mindset that I have nowadays, and they can't even because they have totally different lives most of the time. Because the people that are actually playing games, it's not like they have the worst have the worst lives ever, because if someone has time to play a game, they obviously have a home, they have internet connection, you know. They're not sitting on the streets and having the darkest times of their lives. So um I'm always thinking that might be a reason as well why I'm so tired, because I actually see that people without problems creating problems for themselves by being angry and trying to actually make their problems yours as well in terms of being aggressive and toxic towards you. And that's where I say, okay, guys, here's a boundary. You know, you're not going to step over this. And I look at it, I'm staying calm. I'm actually reacting often, very often, with fun as well, because some people are just really funny when they get angry and what they say then. And some people are so toxic and so abusive that they don't deserve anything but sarcasm and irony. And then I log off, but still I have the feelings that it was already too much wasted energy on someone not really deserving my energy in that way, because I need my energy in real life. I need my energy at work, you know?
Yeah. No, the points you're making are really good. I think like a lot that goes into it is one, going back to like the Modern Warfare 2 lobbies, right? The first time that people started talking to me like that over a video game, you know, my first thoughts were, who in the hell does he think he's talking to? Or who does this individual think they're talking to? And you immediately start to, yeah, your feelings get hurt the first time, but then over time you start to build that thicker skin up, you know, where every time somebody insults you, your skin gets a little bit thicker, your mental, you know, patience gets a little bit better, and it starts to kind of become this competition where it's like you already know that it's going to happen, so you start to, you know, preemptively have things to say to counter. Maybe you even go off of the defensive and go to the offensive in regards to saying stuff before people can even open their mouths and say it. You become that thing that you hated the most as a way to deflect it or whatever. But then as time goes on, like I was saying, like since I've become a father, for me it's a lot easier to not understand, but to deal with the younger generation and how they are and how they respond to stuff. And a lot of times, like, I'll think that I'm talking to a grown man. Like there was one time we were doing a stage and there was one of the guys in there. I can't remember his name. It's like Anime something or something. But I was just telling another guy who I could clearly tell was younger in the video. I was like, hey, you can say whatever you need to say, make your point, but I'm going to have to cut you out because I can't have anyone under 18 in the video. And that anime guy came in and he goes, oh, you might have to actually cut me out because I'm actually under 18 or whatever. And I was like, bro, your voice is deeper than mine. So it made me think, like, how many times have I heard someone and assumed they were a grown man, and this was actually somebody who just had a really deep voice? Because I was the same way. I had a really deep voice since I was in like middle school. Like as soon as I hit middle school, my voice sounded exactly like how it sounds now. People used to think I was grown when I would like answer our house phone and stuff. So like I said, it just kind of made me think like, wow, that probably happens a lot where there's just this guy who just happens to have a really deep voice, or maybe I'm just taking it from the way that they're acting because they're acting really mature or whatever. And maybe I'm sitting here talking reckless to someone that hasn't even finished high school yet. And, you know, it kind of puts a different perspective on things. And especially once you have children of your own. And there's been times where I've now cut off all the multiplayer communication between games that my kids use. But every now and again, they download something new and I don't get to it soon enough. And I'll hear them like in there, and I'll like, because they don't use their headsets. They just use like the speaker through their TV or their monitor a lot of times, like whenever they're gaming. And I'll hear somebody in there talking and they'll be like, bro, what is your problem? Come to this area over here so we can start this mission or do whatever. Like, what is your problem? And meanwhile, my son's just sitting there off in La La Land doing whatever he finds interesting, paying them no attention. And there's been times where I went through like back when they used to play on their Xbox a lot more. Now they have their PCs, but they used to play on their Xbox a lot more. And I would go in there periodically and I would just notice while I was downloading a game or clearing off their consoles that there would be like 20 messages or something that had been unread, right? And I would look at them and it'd be like, oh my God, you're this and you're that. Why didn't you do this? You were playing this match and you didn't get any eliminations. What's wrong with you? And I would just message them back like, bro, you do realize you're talking to a 7-year-old, right? Like, seriously, like, what's your deal? And they'd message back and go, oh my God, I didn't know. I'm sorry if this is dad or mom or whatever. I'm so sorry. You know, so it's like, people do that all the time, right? And some people, they purposely do that because that's just what they are. They're, you know, unfortunately, they lead extremely miserable lives, and they're just like, I'm gonna get on the internet and talk reckless to someone who's probably like half my age or whatever. But me as an adult, I just pass a lot of that stuff off. Like when it was making me think, like when you were saying about how these people, you know, it makes you feel like you're playing the wrong game because there's like these young people, teenagers or whatever, that are sitting here telling you this and telling you that and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, it just kind of makes me think, like, from the perspective of being a parent, that I just ignore them. Like, especially when you were saying like they'll be trying to tell you like how life is and all this kind of stuff, and they literally don't know anything yet. It's like you're literally talking to me through an internet bill that you don't even pay for, right? Like you're in your mother's house. You have everything taken care of for you. Like, how could you possibly understand what life is like? But that's literally every generation kind of does that. You know, like when I was younger, I used to do the same thing. I would tell my parents like, oh, I'm going to get older and I'm going to do this and I'm not going to do this. And when I have kids, I'm never going to be like this to them or whatever. And every year I get older, I realize how wrong I was, right, about a lot of things. You know, I remember being a kid and saying I was never going to clean my room because my mom used to like make me clean my room up all the time. And I was like, when I get older, I get my own house, I'm never going to clean my room up. Now my house, I wake up every morning and clean it up religiously, spick and span, and I make my kids do the same thing. And I know they probably hate it and think, I'm never going to do this. But the whole thing is that you're raising them in the way that you want them to be. So it's like, I'm teaching them to be clean so that when they get older, they'll be clean, because people will come in your home and they will judge you based off of your appearance, your home's appearance, all that kind of stuff. Like, I've never wanted someone to come in my house and be like, I don't want to sit on this couch, or I don't want to eat off this because I don't know if he washes his dishes that good. People always come in. The first thing they say is like, do I need to take my shoes off? And that's because the appearance of my home gives that idea that you might want to take your shoes off, even though I don't really mind as long as they're not muddy or anything. But that's the first thing that they say, and that's what I want to hear. And then I'll see them walk in like my brother's house, which he is not the cleanest person in the world, and they're like hesitant to sit on his couch. They're kind of like looking like, what is that? What is that stain? Or that's a lot of dog hair on that couch. I don't know if I necessarily want to sit on that. And he knows he's not but he's a single, bachelor guy. He doesn't care. He just does whatever he wants to do, right? So the point I'm making is that like every generation, even though now, like being in my 30s, my mother will still have to give me advice on things. I just came back from a family dinner, and she was telling me about something between me and my wife, and she was giving her perspective from when she was my age, and she was talking about how she had to learn certain things, but then my father also had to learn certain things to be able to meet each other kind of like in the middle, instead of just kind of saying, oh, well, this person's just tripping. Why don't they just get this particular thing? And I'm noticing that like you never really get to an age where you know it all. Even once you get to the point where you're clocking your ticket to leave, this planet or whatever, or this state of existence, you're still not going to know everything. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of the same thing. It's like I see my youngest son try to tell my older son stuff that he already knows. We were at dinner the other night, and he was like, my oldest son, he's really good at math, and he was like, what's this times this, or what's this plus this, or whatever, and he's getting all of them right. So his younger brother was like, what's 2 + 2? And we were like, what? And he goes, it's 7. And he said it like so confidently, right? Like he just knew that was the answer. And we were just looking at him, and everybody starts busting out laughing. We're like, yeah, whatever, buddy. It's 7. Because he just seemed like, you can't tell me anything different. And it'll only be a couple of years before he gets to a point where he's going to realize like, oh, that was completely wrong, and just laugh at it. Yeah. But that's kind of like the perfect, for me, analogy of life, where we'll sit there and we'll say, yeah, I'm going to do this thing. And we'll say it so just confidently. And the people that are older than us who have already been through that stuff, we just kind of go, yeah. And that's how I treat people like in this game, when they sit back and they go, oh yeah, man, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna be doing that, and working at NASA, and I'm making $1 trillion a year, and I'm gonna be like, I'm best friends with Jay-Z, and it's like, okay, all right, you have fun with that, buddy. You just think to yourself like, he's probably gonna be bagging my groceries in a few years, like, but whatever, right? Like, and that's not to put anybody down. It's just kind of like, we all have dreams. Like when I was my kid's age, I saw myself being a rock star, just playing guitar all day long and traveling the world and stuff. And I just thought like, man, I'm never going to like have a family and settle down. That's crazy. I want to have different lofts in different countries and all this kind of stuff. And now it couldn't be further from the truth. Like I'm honored to like have kids and be in the house with them and do yard work and stuff on the weekends and all this stuff that I used to look down on and think like, oh, that's boring. Why would you want to do that? It's like, I love getting my yard in order. I love cleaning up my home and spending time with my family and basically being like that, middle-aged guy, that does all that middle-aged guy stuff. But then it's funny because we also kind of like evolve as well, because like my dad used to play video games kind of like just casually, but it wasn't to the way that it is now, to where our generation, even though we're getting older, I think we were talking about that the other day, I was like, we're going to be like the first generation that's going to be in nursing homes with dual monitor PC setups and stuff, right? Still like talking our ish on the game. We're going to be like 80, like, oh, your dog water. Like, I got GG, no heels. It's like, all right, Mr. Such and Such, time to take your medication. Like, yeah. Back in my day, they don't know about the Modern Warfare 2 lobbies. I'm like, yeah. Hey, guys, bring an extra dose. He's talking about Modern Warfare 2 lobbies again. It's like, oh, my God. So it's just like every generation kind of like you kind of stay the same, but you evolve and adapt a little bit. And there's going to be this time when it's going to be an influx of like senior citizens, hardcore gaming and stuff. And then you're going to have people our age now, and then you'll have like the younger generation as well. And it'll just be this thing that's kind of normal because it's happened so much. But right now it is kind of like this really weird period where you do have our generation, which we've been gaming our whole lives. So to us, it's not weird. But there was a time when like our parents, they wouldn't have been our age and been gaming. They would have been like, oh, I got to work a 90-hour work week, and then I still got to come home and do all this stuff, and like video games are only for kids. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like now it's completely different. But that's pretty much all I wanted to add into that. I just thought it's funny, like the perspective that you get from, as you get older and being a parent and stuff, and how you look at a lot of that stuff. It's like I'm not ever gonna like quit gaming. I'm sorry. I'm definitely gonna be that like super old guy that's gonna be, my grandkids are gonna come to visit me and they're gonna be like, oh, granddad, can we use your PC? It's like, no, I bought you your own. It's right next to mine. Now put your headsets on and get your trash talk ready, because we're about to jump in some Marvel Rivals, 2046 or whatever, right? So, but
Yeah, it could be just me. Listening to you, I find myself thinking the same way when I'm on a good day. But I always say, if I was working in a store, for example, selling stuff, sure, you have these clients that actually add up some drama every now and then, but they are not like regularly coming in. But in my job, I have like literally have to deal with problems every day, and sometimes in an hour, I don't know, six, seven, eight problems at a time, different people, and I need solutions, and it's kind of exhausting. So like the level on how much drama I want to add in my personal life in my free time is probably a lot lower than anyone else that has to deal with so many problems at a time and every day. And that's why I'm basically saying at the moment that I can't picture myself like sitting in a nursing home for real and playing. But it still made me laugh, because sometimes I had this thought as well, because I grew up also with video games. It was offline back in days, and I played like strategy games and yeah, some kind of open world discovery stuff, and or some city buildings games back in days when the internet wasn't a big thing yet, and we barely had computers. I'm so old.
no, I'm right there. I'm not far behind you at all.
Yeah, and growing up with this, I kind of figured very early that it's also some kind of relief. But I also was used to play by myself, all the time, and I totally enjoy playing with games where I don't need people around with, or don't need a team to play with. I do enjoy playing with a team as well, but I want my team to work out then, basically, which you can't expect from being with strangers every game. Every game is different, and I could deal with it. I mean, deal with randoms, playing with randoms all the time, if at least it was half of the toxicity we actually face. But if it makes pro gamers stop playing, I heard your last video as well. If it makes pro gamers stop playing that actually are used to competitive games, that means something.
No, you're
It's
right.
just it's not like they are not used to deal with toxicity in competitive games. If you are a pro gamer and that's what you're basically doing every day, you earn money with it, you create content, and then you are up to a point where you say, okay, I'm quitting this game because of the toxicity of the community. Man, if that's not something people should actually start thinking about, I don't know, but I don't know.
No, you have a very valid point. Like, with that video, like one of the things that people said the most was, oh well, Ninja is very toxic himself. He gets onto people, and me personally, maybe I need to go back and watch some clips of him, but I just didn't feel like Ninja is any more toxic than like the average just gamer that, like, from my age group, because we're not too far apart in age. Like him, Nick Merckx, Tim, the Tap Man. I mean, Dr. Disrespect is a little bit older, but like we're all kind of like in that 30s kind of like range. So we've been around, gaming for long enough to see what real toxicity was like. Whereas like now to this point, it's like, yeah, people are toxic in this game, but I feel like it's different. It's like the throwing in stuff that you talked about, how you have like Jeffs who will sit there and eat you, and then just drag you around and take you off point and then throw you off a cliff and stuff, stuff like that, where you can tell that they've had 7 or 8 losses in a row, and now they're triggered, and now they're just literally going, you know what, I want everybody else to be as miserable as I felt earlier on, even if it was a match where you could have won, they've already kind of mentally checked out, things like that I've never experienced. Now, I'm not saying these things haven't happened in previous games. It's just me personally, I haven't ever experienced that before. I was never playing COD and had somebody, there was no way for somebody to like do anything even remotely close like that to me in COD. And I really didn't depend on my teammates. Even if it was team based, it wasn't like you really need them to succeed. If you're actually good enough, you could just dumpster all over everybody and keep it pushing. A lot of times my teammates would just be used as bait in a lot of situations to draw out enemies and whatever. So that's completely different. But yeah, I mean, like I've dealt with toxicity in so many different games. So it's like any game that I play where there's any kind of competitive factor, whether people consider it to be competitive or not, as long as there's a form of multiplayer where people can verse each other, there's always going to be people that do not want to lose. And when they do feel like they're losing or they do lose, whatever, they're gonna 9 times out of 10 take it out on everybody else. I can probably count on one hand how many times I've ever heard somebody go, guys, that wasn't even you, man. It was me. If I would have done this particular thing, we would have won. Even when it's blatantly someone else's fault, like clearly somebody else's fault, they will still figure out a way to blame you. It's just kind of what the culture encourages a lot of times, and that's why like I've purposely tried as hard as I can to explain things to people in a way to where maybe I can open their minds, but I understand that it's bigger than the platform that I have. And even if I had, like, let's say I had millions upon millions of followers and people that regularly viewed every single video that I uploaded, that still doesn't mean just because someone hears it that they're going to just magically change how they are and how they handle particular things. So like you were saying earlier, I don't know if you said it in the video or if you had said it when we were talking on the call, but I think you did say in regards to like men and stuff like that. But nonetheless, though, I don't think that that's something that's going to necessarily change anytime soon, because the only way that you can really make a dent in it is if you go like the Overwatch route, where they started to monitor chat and voice and stuff, but they kind of took it overboard. Same thing happened with Call of Duty. I have been banned so many times in COD. They banned me one time because I told a guy to put my fries in the bag or flip my burgers or something like that. I did not cuss at him. I didn't say anything crazy. I just told him put the fries in the bag and flip my burger and stop talking to me. And I got a 14-day chat ban for that, right? Now, I get getting banned because you like called someone a super offensive name or, said something that by any standard would be like crazy that you would probably know is probably like a bannable thing. But because I told somebody to put the fries in the bag, 14 days, that's when it kind of borderline goes like, okay, do we even have free speech anymore? Which is something that we really take serious here in America. And it's becoming more and more of that kind of situation. And it seems like companies haven't figured out a way to kind of meet you in the middle. It's like they either just kind of allow as much toxicity as humanly possible, or it's like if you sneeze too hard, you're getting a 14-day ban. And if you sneeze multiple times, they're just permanently shutting the whole account down, right? Like, so
Yeah.
it's like I need there to be like an in between, right? But it seems like as human beings, we struggle with that a lot, is like finding that Goldilocks level. It's always like nothing or everything, right? So I don't know.
So the extreme as well. That's how I feel as well. It's not like I did never get banned in any games for saying something either. I have my experience with toxicity as well, and of course,
I would love to know what you got banned for saying. I'd pay good money to know.
I, should- I could actually search the mail and show you, but
Yeah, I would love to see that. I want to see what
was
mace
so-
level toxicity is like. I need to know.
if I wanted to, I could say the worst things. It's not like
Oh no.
I'm some kind of falling on my head and wouldn't know what to say. But the problem is that I'm taking it out of hand as well. So when I have really bad times, I'm feeling bad. Especially when I lost a few in a row. Some was my problem as well, but also I saw others doing major mistakes that led us to losing the game. And I'm getting angry at how it went. And I know EUMM is going on, and I keep playing, like rage queuing for real. I needed to make that experience in the past as well. It's not like the first game where they had a matchmaking system like that, or after years so low population that you naturally come into a matchmaking like that because you have all ranks basically being in one pot because not enough people online to actually build a community even anymore. I've been playing games for 13 years, like because I like the games. I played them for 13 years, competitive over and over again. I can do that, and they were toxic as well for real. So of course needed to make my experiences with toxicity, how it affects me. Does it really help me to get better if I play angry? Because like adrenaline, and if you get angry and rage and stuff like that, some people are playing even better than as if they aren't, and if they are chilled. It's actually a fact. I've been speaking to a lot of people about it. Some even said if I'm getting raged or raging myself, I really play a lot better because I want to win urgently then, which I don't want so much when I'm chilled and just want to relax on the game. And I found myself as well in both situations, but there I found it was the kind of being angry. If I was angry at myself because I did mistakes, I usually played worse. If I was angry at others because they were like provoking me and saying something that I want to prove them wrong, I was playing better. That was different. And I think we all do our experience at some point. That's why I'm not saying like, please guys, never rage. We all are human and we all have emotions. And I think like the emotional part is a um, big part of the science behind EOMM as well. I mean, NetEase has big companies and they have a whole science behind EOMM and they have a reason to put it. So, as one said in the video when he was going into that, the puke is real and so is the joy when you win.
Yeah.
And it was related to EOMM. So, emotions are actually a part that people who did science on the EOMM wanted to be in the game because they actually, even if you rage, keep you playing the game because you want to have the joy as well when you win games. You feel it's like in life. You can't really enjoy good times in life if you don't know how bad times feel. You
Oh
know?
yeah, most definitely. Gotta
And
go low to go high.
yeah, and that's the same like in games. And I would be a liar saying I never got angry, I never got toxic. I got angry and toxic as well. It's been years now because I told you I wasn't always like today where I say, okay, there's much more important things in my life that I want to pay attention of. And as you said as well, they will the kids and young men playing the game will probably reach a point where they think very similar because they had their experience in life and came to a kind of like-minded way to think and look on the game as itself. But for me personally, I'm just reaching a point where I say Marvel Rivals as itself, even if I play with friends and if we do customs, it's only friends. I just lost the drive because I know in order to get better and get back to my shape where I was before, where I could pick up and see how far I really could get in ranked if I was playing solo as a strategist, I would have to play it regularly and ranked as well. And I would want to play ranked, and I would have to play ranked because I'm playing on German servers, and all of you are on American servers. So my performance is naturally bad when I play ranked with you guys on American servers, just by the ping. Uh, the burst situations I have to deal with when I play on American servers is actually the team gets bursted, they are full health. I have a super bad ping, and all of a sudden everyone's dead. That's just
Yeah.
my healer games sometimes on the American servers because on the custom games I don't know what the server difference is, but I had a peak ping of 700 something. It was unplayable.
Yeah. No, you can't play with
And
that.
yeah, and that's why I say I would have to play ranked alone, and even the thought of going ranked alone on EU servers makes me not want to play the game at all because I have my experiences playing ranked alone, especially since the diver meta, which made me bounce back a lot already because of the missing teamwork because of the missing other healer that actually heals you back. You have been speaking about it when you talked about Cloak and Dagger in one of your videos before, that you can count on one hand how much of random healers actually heal you back when you are playing Cloak and you need some support in when you get dived and or dove. And that's the same for me playing a strategist. And I don't want to learn any other roles so deep that I actually feel like I'm being comfortable with, because my aiming is still not like, well, I can reach an aiming of 50% with Black Widow if I want in quick matches, but quick matches still are not the same like ranked. And I don't want to get into DPS, for example, Hela, which supposedly be one of the best DPS now. You need a really good aim to play Hela effectively, and I really would have to work consistently and if possible daily, aiming on Hela, positioning everything to get into DPS in order to climb easier one day. And there I just sit here with my 40 years asking myself, is the time really worth doing this? For the sake of proving what? To who? You know? Does it make me another person to be on Celestial than I am on Platinum? Fuck no. I mean, the guys who ask me to play with them, they don't ask me because I have an one of all thing on my account. They ask me because they want to be around me. So I don't give a freak what my rank personally is. Why would I care, and why would I put so much work and effort and time in and all the salt with the people and dealing with it when I actually personally don't play the game for the sake of proving some rank in a game or playing it for the money, but just for the fun. And still, I don't want to sit with the guys on customs on a Friday or whenever and want to be one of the worst healers by statistics just because I occasionally play meanwhile first 10. And that's why I play much worse than as if I would play regularly. And second, due to the ping, it just makes me mad at myself that actually my statistics look so much more worse than they used to look on European servers when I played regularly. And that's why I tell myself, I just want to step back from that.
Yeah, something interesting that I think that I talked about with the other young lady that I interviewed for this video. I think she had brought up, she was talking about the fact that she only ever plays up to gold just to get the skins, but there's a lot of times where she plays with people that are actually like a higher rank than whatever she gets to, and like I said, she makes the choice to stop there. But she was just kind of basically saying in a nutshell that I guess there's been times where she's like played with people and they've been way higher ranked than her, but still like couldn't perform as well as she does. And it kind of made me think about like why the whole reason that we even started this video when we were talking about like Aiki Kana and the fact that, I personally think that she's a better strategist than myself. And what's interesting is she doesn't play rank. So there's probably a lot of people like that just choose not to play rank, but they're actually really good at the game. And I kind of use the analogy of like, LeBron James or any really good basketball player, right? They just chose to go down the professional route, but there's actually probably some guy out there that just has like such natural skill and ability, but he just chose to, maybe he had kids early or something, or his parents encouraged him to become a doctor or a lawyer or something, right? But he still goes down to the park every weekend and shoots, and we just don't know about that guy, but he's actually amazing. The same thing with video games, right? Like a lot of times we'll say, well, this is the best person in the world because that's who actually competes and that's who puts the time in and the energy. Whereas this other guy that probably works like 5 days out of the week, and when he does get on, he's absolutely amazing. He's got some of the best stats. Like I'm pretty sure if you were to look at like the top players on this game, half of them don't even create content. They don't stream. They don't do anything, and no one knows who they are. They just know the name on the account. Right. And like maybe the other half of them are like somewhat content creators or whatever. But I've seen that a lot in games where you have these people that stay on top of the leaderboard for the game as far as like being like the top players, but they don't actually create content. But like people sit back and say, well, this other person's like the best or whatever. And you kind of go, yeah, but there's like 5 dudes above him that clearly have way better stats than him and stuff like that aren't cheating or anything, or else they would eventually got kicked off the board. But, I just think that's interesting, and it kind of like applies to like what you were saying in regards to people. Like I would want you as one of my strategists. If I'm tanking or something like that, like you and one, I want you as my strategist. But I don't think about it like, oh, well, I'm only picking Mace because of what her rank is. Like, I didn't even know what your rank was before today. I didn't even think that you did play rank, honestly, because I've just personally never seen you. And I get now that you don't, because obviously there's a massive server difference there. You're in Germany, I'm in the States. So, but even with one, like, I don't care if one was technically a silver or she's diamond or she's GM, whatever. It's like, I just know that she fits my play style well. And like when we play together, we usually do better than if I was to play with just random people or a handful of other people that I know. So I do think that that's interesting in regards to people's mindsets of saying like, oh, okay, well, this person must be good because they're in this rank. And it's like, brother, that person could have been boosted. They could have just played with a really, really good friend of theirs who is amazing at the game and they just rode their coattails. And then sometimes it's the inverse. Sometimes you have people that just don't care to play ranked, or maybe they can't because they only play with their friends want to play with them all the time and they're on different platforms. So they just don't get to play, whatever, but they're actually amazing players that could potentially be celestial. They just don't put the time or energy into it. So I do think it's interesting, but this video is coming up on hour and 20 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you land your plane. And if I always tell you if you want to promote anything, you're more than welcome to. I know you have a TikTok. I don't know why you don't promote your TikTok. You upload very good clips.
It's very occasional, and with that, I'm like Yakikana. I think while others say like this and that highlight was a really good thing, I basically say, yeah, well, it was a good moment. And Yakikana is someone who says, I'm playing average while she has consistent, really, really stable numbers and healing and stuff, and good positioning and good ults and everything, It's just like, either you have the urge to promote something because you actually want to do it consistently, or you don't. And I'm really, really, I don't promote it because I don't want to do it consistently. I can't do content of Marvel Rivals, as in showing highlights all the time, and then just go completely for 4 weeks not doing anything.